Hello. I'm on a bit of a delay, but I'm gonna see if this comes in. Uh, just trying out this new streaming software. Let's see what's going on. There it goes. Okay, we're broadcasting. Welcome, friends. This is the Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 39, being recorded live on YouTube on September 3rd, 2017. Welcome all. I can see there's quite a few of you in chat. Anyway, I thought this would be kind of a bit of a, what do you call, recap episode where we go through all the news that's happened since last time, which was back in December of 2017. So I hope you'll bear with me because I'm trying this streaming software for the very first time, OBS, and I don't have all my full monitoring systems up. And I want to make sure that everything's working first. So let me just check the sound, making sure everything's okay. Great. Okay, we've got sound. I think there's like a 30-second delay between what I'm saying and what you're seeing. Again, please forgive me and give me a bit of your patience as I work my way through this new software, this new streaming setup. Hopefully, we'll be able to do more of these in the future with other things, not just podcasts. Okay, chat. So with that said, let's get started with the. Oh, before I go, one more thing. For those of you listening, I'd like to have kind of a question and answer session towards the end. So if you could prepare some questions or comments that you'd like to make so I can address them on air, just go ahead and add those to the chat whenever I ask for them. Not now, because I'm not going to scroll all the way back through all those messages. But at a certain point, I'll ask for questions, and then we'll see what we can address. Meanwhile, I'm hoping that this will be a relatively quick episode. I'm going to just kind of breeze through all the news that's happened since December of 2016, and there's a lot of it because of a new posting regimen, which I'll be getting into momentarily. So let's start at the beginning. Here we are, the Krystal Archive podcast number 38. Back in December, I was doing this podcast because I had arm surgery and I couldn't really type much. So this gave me an opportunity to catch up and talk to you guys. So the next things that were happening was around Christmas time. We had Ayano doing her cosplay, very festive, and she sent in a whole bunch of pictures, as you can see here. Very festive. The crystal Christmas spirit here. We got another update from Star Fox Event Horizon 6 demo, where it showed off a bunch of new stages, and we get to play it. As far as I know, this game is no longer under active development, but we'll get into that shortly. Next bit, we got some of the first animations from Dinosaur Planet, the animated series. This was an attempt to show off the original story of Dinosaur Planet using the original characters, Saber and Krystal the cat. And the purpose of this was just kind of explore the story as it would have existed before it became Star Fox Adventures as we know it today. So that was an interesting project. Give it a try if you want to look at some of their animations. Ayano finally announced that she would attend Furry Fiesta 2017. She'd hinted at this before, but this was her confirmation. And we would be going as well, myself and Lilat Mobius Adventurer, to do video and camera work for her. Next, we have the 11th anniversary of the Krystal Archive. The site has been online as of January 8th, 2017, for a total of 11 years, the longest project I've ever run continuously, and quite proud of it. I know a lot of you like it. Let's move on to the next one, which was Nintendo revealing some of their Nintendo Switch plans, where they were going to talk about their pricing and the technical abilities and release dates and stuff like that. Very exciting to see that. No Star Fox reveals like we'd hoped, but you know, Let's go back in time. So as you can see here, we've got 14 pages of stuff to go through. Whoops, I'm not at the bottom. There we go. 14 pages of stuff. Okay, so we decided to have a Nintendo Switch watching party where we're going to watch the reveal of all the new games and the system and the hardware specs and everything like that. Pricing, release date, and all that. And a lot of you attended. We did a chat room like we usually do. It was great. I learned a lot from you guys about other stuff for potential posts. I decided to make a Krystal Gab account. Now, for those of you who don't know, Gab is basically a different version of Twitter. It's run by a different company, same basic idea. You get to post small updates, pictures, and videos in a social media-like presence. The difference is, other than being allowed to have not just 140 characters, but 300 characters, which is quite a bit more, they have a much stronger stance on freedom of speech, and so they allow just about anything there as long as you tag it appropriately. Inspired by the official Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account, I decided to make an account for Krystal because the name Krystal on Gab was not taken. So I've taken that account and I've made it basically a place to post Krystal fan art for now. But hopefully I'm going to use it as a way of kind of expressing Krystal's character as if she has a social media presence. Haven't done that very much yet. It's mostly just been fan art posting so far. But if you're looking for a new Krystal fan art posted every day with some saying or phrase from Krystal, you can check that out, and there's going to be something there almost every day. The next thing we did was wow, this is a long one. What was this? Yes, so we finally got an interview from the Star Fox Assault developers, translated from Japanese. Here they talked about their design goals for the game and what they thought about how they were going to approach it. One of the things I thought was interesting about this game, their approach to this game, was that they decided to make switching between vehicles, between the Landmaster and the R-Wing in various stages, they decided to make that kind of a feature, which I often thought of as kind of a negative trait. I didn't actually like switching. I would rather it be either on foot or in the Landmaster or in the R-Wing the whole stage. But they actually made that as a feature, as a mechanic of the game. So it's interesting how they came to those design choices. And check out that article if you're interested. So one of the things I should back up and mention, when we had the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Direct watching party, I got a lot of people sending me links of stuff, of Krystal-related articles and videos that I hadn't seen yet. And I decided at that point when we were watching, to start making a list of the stuff that could potentially become posts on the Krystal Archive. This would inevitably lead me to having a huge bulk of content that I needed to post, which led me to the idea of, you know what, rather than trying to post everything I have and just failing at it miserably, from now on I'm going to try and save posts and post at least one thing per day, so I will have a steady stream of content from the site. And it began with this post, this MMD, Miku Miku Dance animation of Krystal doing the dance for the Begin Again song by Purity Ring. I got quite a few of these MMD Krystal animations that I hadn't seen before from Lilac Mobius Adventurer, and I decided to not just post MMDs one after the other, but as much as possible, but to break them up with other things. So this was the first. We have MMD here. Then we had another MMD, and it looks like I put the wrong thing in there. And I don't think anybody called me out on that. That's really weird. I apologize for that, but it looks like I put the same video in there twice, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. Sorry about that. And then another MMD. Oh, you know what? I think this is probably an editing glitch. So it was probably right at the time, and now it's broken. Yeah, this was definitely wrong. This is definitely an editing mistake on my part. So this was going to be down here. Love Me Like You Do. And then this was actually a very cool little animation of Wolf and Krystal fighting it out over Wolf mistreating a young character, a young child. It's pretty cute little action animation. fully animated, like hand-drawn animated. So it's pretty cool. Let's move on. Oh, and there it is. Okay, so see, something is wrong here. I'm getting... Somehow, all the videos are out of sync. Whatever. Okay, this Wolf versus Krystal was actually down here, and then this, My Saving Grace, is probably going to be the next video. Who knows? But anyway, it was another MMD. Next, we started posting our full resolution photo galleries from Further Confusion 2016. Now, this was from January or February 2016. Lilac Mobius Adventure was able to go to Further Confusion 2016 and follow Ayano around, do some photographs and some videos, and he finally got the chance to post all of his photos. Took him almost a year, but you know, when you have that many photos, it takes us a while to get through them all. And he'd also be working on his videos as well. So all those are in the new Krystal cosplay Flickr group, and also these albums. And that's what I was talking about. We're going to create this Krystal cosplay photo group, which is designed to hold all the photos because there's just so many and there's such high resolution that I simply can't store them all on the site. Well, Flickr is designed to handle that sort of thing, lots of photographs, so we decided to tag them all and put them in different albums, prepare them, and set them all in this one group. Now, right now, all that's there is Ayano, but we've got more cosplayers coming, which will be talked about in future posts. And again, the videos are off somehow. This is the video, My Saving Grace, that was supposed to be down there. This is going to be an This is another MMD where they reanimated Krystal's cutscenes using the MMD animation software. You know, it might just be an error on this page where everything is getting off by one. I'm not really sure. Let's go back to page number 13. All right, here we have our first Krystal speed paint, and this I started getting quite a few of these, so I decided to intersperse them with the MMD videos so it wasn't just all of them at once. So this is a nice, very nicely digitally painted Krystal artwork. Then we're finally back on track. We've got another MMD animation. That's kind of weird that her finger's going through the muzzle there. But anyway, HBR102989 released his MMD rig so you could make your own animations with downloadable rigs like this one, music, and animation sequences that you can download. Next, we did another speed paint, Ukulela's Krystal Speed Paint. This is actually imitating the style of the Star Fox Assault in a painterly style, so you can check that out. Next, we have an MMD from another person using a completely different model, which you can see here. It's more human-based, but the facial animation is not based on the model from Little Dragon. It's based on the model from Star Fox Assault with some modifications. Next, we showed a quick speed drawing by Lucas JG, 1994. This was done in an online painting app, Colors. I think that was actually released as a 3DS game. I believe it was. And he did it in black and white and then in color, imitating the style of Star Fox Assault. Let me just check. Okay, yeah. You guys are like 30 seconds behind me. I'm getting paranoid. Sorry. Excuse me. All right, next we got some new levels for Star Fox Event Horizon. These are Star Fox Adventures levels. So we got the Lightfoot Forest, the Dark Ice Mines, and Cape Claw, which you can fly around using, obviously, these Star Fox Zero vehicles, which he had added at a previous point. Okay, so we found out that from a leak of a demo unit of the Nintendo Switch that you were allowed to have Star Fox icon options for the Nintendo Switch, which I ended up using in my Nintendo Switch, this Star Fox emblem. But there was also an R-Wing and a Fox McCloud available for you. Okay, the next thing we talked about was a person who, as you know, Star Fox 64 has been released almost as many times as the original Mario Brothers. Not quite that many, but it saw a re-release on the Wii and the Wii U, and also a remake on the 3DS. And this person took all three versions, put them side by side, and compared how they ran. And interestingly, the N64 could just barely handle the 3D graphics that it was playing. And as a result, whenever you would have a huge explosion or a lot of enemies on screen at once, what would happen would be that the game system would actually slow down. The frame rate would go from 60 frames or 30 frames down to like 15 or 10 frames per second, which actually had the effect of making the game seem more epic. Now, when we had the Wii, which could kind of handle it, and then the Wii U, which could handle the Star Fox 64 no problem, the game actually plays so fast that people have a tough time playing because it just plays so fast. So I thought that was really interesting how emulation can change, even among official emulation ports. We got our first look at Ayano's Metroid Zero Suit cosplay. This is just her Krystal outfit, but wearing a Zero Suit costume, which she would later debut in America. And then a big one I've been trying to do for a long time. We decided we're finally going to put out HTTPS. We're going to have a secure Krystal archive. And I didn't know how long it was going to take, but I gave myself a Saturday to do it. And it took me about the whole day, but I managed to get all of the Krystal sites using HTTPS. Excuse me. Which you can see here. We were successful in getting all the child sites, the Krystal archive, running at HTTPS, getting A+ rankings or A rankings on all three of these different security report systems. And as you can see, we've got an A+. Now, what does security mean to you? Well, there's all sorts of things. We're protecting your identity, so people don't know what you're doing here on the Krystal archive. They won't know that it's you who's commenting or what you're looking at. Not that there's anything wrong with the Krystal archive, but hey, it's your privacy. You know, it's nobody else's business. You also have the security. No one's going to send you some malware through my site because you know that when you connect to me, you're connecting to my site. No one else in between is doing some kind of man-in-the-middle attack. We've also got future potential releases like HTTP2 and Brotli compression, which can make the site a lot faster. So we're going to explore those things in the future. So I was really happy with that, getting all that deployed. Okay, next we have a Shiny Warg's Krystal MMD rig. He made his rig available. That was the one we saw previously with the more human-like body and the assault head, which you can download and give it a try yourself in MMD. Next we have a lot of videos are missing for some reason. I'm not really sure what's going on. Maybe if I reload. There we go. There we go. Okay, Mancoin, he drew this picture, this funny little picture of Krystal finally being able to enjoy her sandwich somewhat. And he released these as buttons at a convention, but unfortunately, he never actually released the full version of the artwork. But you can see him drawing the whole thing in real time, well, in sped up time on this video. So I really like this speed paint. It's very good. Next, we started having our video footage from Further Confusion 2016. This, again, came from Lilat Mobius Adventurer. So in addition to taking a lot of photographs, he took a bunch of video, several hours worth, in fact. And he started off with his highlights video, which shows off just different aspects and costumes that Ayano was wearing throughout the 3-day convention. And we would have this and a series of other videos over the next few days, starting with part 1, where we showed off her walking around the con, just basic stuff, walking outside and distracting motorists. More stuff with the con and her friends from Japan who are also cosplaying. Let's see, on Saturday night she decided to walk around using a yukata kimono dress, which was quite lovely when we got to see that. And then she decided to go out in her adventurous costume. This was done on Sunday morning. And then just more hanging out on Sunday. Somebody had the bright idea of hanging out with Fox McCloud and playing the Star Fox theme song, to which Ayano and Fox McCloud did a bunch of dancing, I'm told, for several minutes. This video is actually 2 hours and 20 whole minutes, just this one video. It's tremendous. And lastly, Sunday night, Ayano did a quick trip around the con, venturing out in her bikini, and she visited the rave for a short time before heading back to her room. This is, as far as I know, the first time she's worn a bikini at a convention in public. She's only ever done the bikini in private photo shoots. Other than that, as far as I know. So we're down to page 11. All right. So the Nintendo Switch launches on March 3rd, 2017. I was just super excited about this game, as many of you were, and I think we were all correct in being excited because it's turned out to be one of the best games of all time. And still to this day I play it. I'm still finding new stuff. It's just a wonderful, wonderful game. And just hopefully a sign of the things to come with the Nintendo Switch. Of course, now there's been new games like Splatoon 2 and that new Mario and Rabbids game, which I haven't picked up yet, but thinking about trying it. No word yet on a Star Fox game, but we're looking forward to it. Anyway, I was just making this post to let everybody know that they should get on that and start playing Zelda. I would be out late at night at 3 in the morning, or at midnight, excuse me, to pick up my pre-order and start playing until the early hours of the morning. So next we did, oh goodness, the videos are off again somehow. There we go. I'm not sure what it is with that. Okay, so we have another MMD. This time it's not so much doing a music video as doing lip syncing with the Krystal model and some voice acting from the game. Next, because it was a slow news day and I didn't have anything else to post, I said, hey, let's be friends on the Nintendo Switch. So I posted my icon and my friend code, and you guys feel free to add me, even those of you who are watching it on the stream. Although I should point out that if you're going to do that, please post a comment on the Krystal archive so I know so I can associate the person's name on the Nintendo Switch with the person's name on the Krystal archive. Because if I don't recognize your name, I'm not going to add you. I'm sorry, I just don't. So those of you who have sent me a friend request and you haven't posted, I haven't accepted your friend request, and that's why. So just go on there and post a comment on any post and let me know what you're doing, and I'll add you. No problem. This time we've got Rinamon and Krystal coming together to do a quick music video and another MMD video. Boy, there were a lot of MMD videos. My goodness. Next, it was a very late Christmas post. I had received these posts back in January where Nintendo was celebrating various Nintendo characters on people's Christmas trees and their Christmas setup, and let's see, who was it? Alfor and several other people sent these in, saying that look at this. Of all the pictures Nintendo showed, Krystal is represented 3 times here. So you guys who are posting your Krystal and Star Fox art on your trees, you're very dedicated, and I think Nintendo recognized that. So good on you on that. Okay, we got our second demo of Star Fox Adventures 2, the fan game from NJ Fox, a longtime reader of the site. And basically what happened was NJ Fox got kind of tired of complaining about Nintendo not making a Krystal Adventures game, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to make my own. And so this is the result. It's still a work in progress, and he's working hard on it, but it is downloadable and playable today, where you run around as Krystal, interact with the dinosaurs of Saria, and upgrade your staff and fight enemies. So I don't know, give it a look. Still in the early alpha, I'd say. We got another simple Krystal speed paint. This one is drawing out Krystal with her gun in Star Fox Assault style. Next, this was a really cool thing. So there's, just like DeviantArt is a place where you can post your art, and I don't know, Flickr is a place that you can post your photos. There's this website called Sketchfab where you can post complete 3D models and scenes, and you can orbit around them and look at them from different angles and change the renderer. And in this case, some fan out there who goes by the name of Nicholas Carey decided to make this Krystal interactive 3D scene with her tracking, her hiking through the woods with Tricky by her side. And I thought that was just really well done. And it's a completely original model too. I mean, he just made this Krystal model from scratch, so pretty good, really. Next, we have a surprise announcement. Somebody in China is actually making Krystal Star Fox Assault and Krystal Star Fox Adventures costumes, pre-made, fully made, available for purchase at any time. Now, as I understand, there's quite a few of these people out there who they go online, they find popular characters, and they find a way to imitate their style, and then they kind of mass produce these costumes and wigs and stuff to your body size and shape. So can't speak very much to the quality of these things, but it is interesting that you can just today go out there, click a few buttons, and have a Krystal outfit delivered to your door. That's really amazing. Certainly helpful if you need to make a Krystal costume in a pinch. They also had the boots and a Krystal staff, which I don't remember, but if I remember correctly, it wasn't terribly accurate. Okay, well, excuse me. A lot of talking. This next one. This one took a while and took a lot of explanation. So I decided to see what it would take if I could perhaps make a Krystal animation from the game run at 8K. Now, I had interacted with the Dolphin emulator to get these 1080p 60 frame per second cutscene videos of Star Fox Adventures before, and I knew I could make the settings a little higher, but they changed a few things in such a way that allowed people to record at resolutions higher than their actual devices, their screen size resolution would allow. You could actually they decoupled the rendering size from the size of the window, at least in terms of recording it. Excuse me. And that meant that we could get, in theory, infinite size. Of course, there were limitations. The rendering only kind of went up to about 6,000 pixels across, which is not enough to get 8K. But I went around looking around inside the source code and found that there were some hidden settings that I could adjust. And when I did that, I was able to get something that was slightly higher than 8K resolution. Unfortunately, something happened in which I couldn't actually record it, so I had to wait a month. I had to wait a month to get a fix out for the video encoder and then for the Dolphin emulator. And finally, when that was done, I was able to record at less than 1 frame per second. It took over an hour to record this cutscene, and it was about a week of work just trying to figure out how to convert the video, because no video formats are really designed to handle this kind of thing, except for these very special video encoders that are designed for high resolution uncompressed video. So as you can see here, 8K resolution is 4 times 4K, and 4K is 4 times 1080p, and 1080p is roughly 4 times what a GameCube could output. So this is like 64 times bigger than what you would see on a GameCube screen. Really, really impressive. 33 million pixels per frame, and done at 60 frames per second. Of course, no one can actually play these videos in real time on their computer, most computers anyway, but it is an interesting experience. And if you go on YouTube and search today for 8K videos, this will be one of them. So, you know, maybe I'll do more 8K videos in the future, but it is a lot of work. So we're back to page 11. I'm going to reload to make sure the video is in the right place. Okay, so there's a gentleman who's been doing a lot of speed running, and he found some glitches. This glitch is Krystal climbing on a wall, and it has Krystal actually walking up on this part that you're not really supposed to be able to walk up on. So that was pretty cool, I thought. I'd certainly tried to do that before and was unable to. Next we had a speed color. This was by Matt Colvin, and you can check it out as well as the finished artwork. And then I started looking into the actual Star Fox Adventure speedruns, and at this time, a speedrunner named JubJub62 was able to beat Star Fox Adventures in 4 hours 32 minutes, playing all through the game, making use of a lot of warp glitches, but otherwise a completely normal game. It's an adventure game, and he didn't skip any content, and that's the fastest he could beat it at the time, 4 hours 32 minutes. Really impressive, since it took me something like 30 hours to beat it the first time. I decided to finally put out some of my photos from 2013's Further Confusion, which I don't think I had ever posted, or if I had posted, I'd never posted in full resolution. So these went up on the Flickr group I had mentioned earlier. By the way, this was the very first time that FJ McCloud, the Fox McCloud cosplayer, had ever met Ayano Haramaki, the Krystal cosplayer. And boy, was he surprised. He wasn't expecting to see her. So it was kind of a hilarious moment, because he kind of ran at her and gave her a big hug. Anyway, next we have this video talking about the differences between Star Fox Adventures and Dinosaur Planet, the game it came from. It was a good kind of documentary about the changes that the game underwent as they had this big transition. Highly recommend this game. This video, although watch out, there's some gore in this video from a couple places, so watch out for that. Next up, we have a series of videos from Nintendo about how they decided to make Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, at this point, everybody was playing Zelda. It was the best game of all time, and we were wondering, how can we apply this game design to Star Fox, which I think Star Fox could gain from having kind of an open universe where there are missions and there are certain things you can do, but there are also side quests and real mercenary work that you have to physically go to and sign up for, and try and get your bounty, and maybe they double cross you. Who knows? There's all kinds of possibilities there in such a wide galaxy like Star Fox's solar system Lilat. All right. Next we have another speed paint. This was done in Art Academy Home Studio, which is another on Nintendo art program, I believe. And Nintendo PAL decided to enter this Krystal artwork in Nintendo's Art Academy contest. I don't think he won, but good on him for attempting. Now here I took a break. I had to prep for Furry Fiesta. That meant getting my camera ready. That meant making travel plans. And I had been posting so much I couldn't keep up with the schedule, so I had to take a break. But then I posted again about going to Furry Fiesta and how Ayano was going to be there. Lilat Mobius Adventure was going to be there. He and I actually roomed together, and we were going to be the camera crew for Ayano and do that sort of stuff. So we finally did, and we got some pictures up the first day, I believe. Second day, at least. We did. Oh, sorry. This was right afterwards, so we pretty much were offline that whole time because Ayano did a lot of cosplaying. We had to follow her around a lot. And I ended up being kind of the driver because I had a car, and both we and Ayano was staying in a hotel that was relatively far away from the convention hotel. It's like a half-mile walk. So rather than letting her walk around all the way back and forth to the hotel, I volunteered to drive her back and forth. So I would race to the car, pick her up in the front, go to drive them to the con carefully, then drop them off, then race back to the hotel, drop the car off, then walk very fast back to the hotel, and then begin recording. So I got a lot of exercise that weekend. And boy, did we have a lot of stories to tell. Which I'm not really going to talk about our experiences at the con right now, because that's something that Lilat Mobius and Adventure and I want to kind of spend a whole kind of part of a podcast talking about, because there were a lot of stories and we just kind of want to go over them together so we can kind of help each other remember. I don't want to give anything away, but you can get a good summary here of what we did, including Krystal making a bit of a splash playing The Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo Switch in the lobby, and she was actually playing. Like, I couldn't believe. I thought she was just going to pose with it, but no, she actually played the game and was having a fun time. And looks like I don't have any more back buttons, so I'm going to go manually to page number 9. All right, so next we have our April Fool's Day joke of the year. So I'd heard about this Gatebox technology a while back. It's a fun little project where they kind of integrate a digital assistant. It's with an AI that can talk to you, kind of like Siri or Google Home, except this one comes with a virtual hologram girlfriend kind of thing, a waifu simulator, if you will, and it's very personified. It actually texts you when you stay too late at work and say, "Hey, honey, when are you coming home?" I thought this was both horrifying and hilarious. So I like any good April Fool's joke, it's mostly true except for one fact, which was that Nintendo would be working with these people, the Gatebox, to add their Nintendo characters to this device. And I said I speculated that it could be Krystal, but of course we don't know. But yeah, so that was the joke. Some people were tricked, some people were not, but I always like making these things every year. Trying to be creative. Please send me your suggestions for April Fool's jokes if you happen to come across a good idea. All right, next we got to post our a couple quick videos. We had Volpine Media posted a couple of his videos, or one of his videos, which was just a few minutes with her posing in front of the fountain out in front of the hotel. And we also got to see the full fursuit parade where Ayano took part in that. So you can see the whole fursuit parade. Ayano appears at 17 minutes 37 seconds if you want to see just her. And moving on. Oh dear. Okay, so Krystal had some more drama this year. And this time it was from our favorite feminist, Anita Sarkeesian. I haven't really had a chance to address her first video yet, although I do plan to. Basically, somebody made a mildly inappropriate joke on Twitter about Krystal. Nothing you probably haven't seen before. And then she decided to make it about herself. And then things got just really weird, and I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm sorry. Okay, next we had a new announcement, a Nintendo Switch plus 3DS Nintendo Direct announced. We had a chat room just like always where they're going to talk about Splatoon 2 and ARMS. That was fun. We saw a new Star Fox Event Horizon video where he showed off a very hectic stage fighting bunches and bunches of enemies at these new locations. The Planet Q from the Cursed Endings of Star Fox Command, the Aperoid Homeworld from Assault, and Sector Omega from Star Fox Zero. All right, we finally got to post some of the first pictures from Furry Fiesta 2017. Most of the photos that we have are from Volpine Media, who uploaded a grand total of 64 photos. And this guy is a professional photographer. If you guys need, photographer. If you guys need some photography for your fursuits or cosplay or wedding, whatever, hit this guy up. He's always looking for more photo gigs if he can get them. Now he took over 1,700 photos, of which we only have 64, but we'll be posting more of those in the future. So anyway, look forward to that. All right, Nikki Tins, a longtime anthro cosplayer, much in the same spirit of Ayano, in that she wears a relatively thin bodysuit, a Zentai suit with clothing, actual clothing, and wears a hard mask on the front rather than a fursuit head or something made of foam, or a mask or a prosthetic or whatever. So she's like Ayano in that way. Anyway, she purchased a 3D printer, and her first order of business is attempting to make a Krystal cosplay mask. And so she announced her plans and how she's going to work on that. Having a 3D printer myself and having a little bit of experience 3D printing a mask for one of my cosplays that's not Krystal related in any way, I've been trying to help out where I can because I always want to see the progress of new Krystal cosplayers. All right, next we got some new photos. These are the first Zero Suit photos from Furry Fiesta. Vulpine Media sent me 20 more photos, so we put those in the Flickr group. All right, so a while back, Nintendo held a t-shirt contest with Uniqlo, trying to find a bunch of Nintendo-related t-shirt designs, and the winning designs would have their designs made into t-shirts and sold as part of a campaign. Star Fox actually got one entry, which was a rather strange entry, but it's from a gentleman in Spain who made this one. Interesting design, but not for me personally. All right, so then I had a period. Let's see, when was this? This was May 4th through May 11th when I didn't post at all. And that's because I was working feverishly on a cosplay of my own, that 3D printed mask thing that I was talking about. And I just simply didn't have time to do anything except work on that. So that's why I was gone. I was working on a full body cosplay for Everfree Northwest that is not a fursuit. So if you guys go back and look some videos of that, you might be able to spot which cosplayer I am based on this description, although I don't actually say exactly who it is. All right, let's go to page number 8. All right, Tyson Anthro, aka Ryan Vowles, aka Ryson Anthrodog, posted his Krystal papercraft model. This is a 60 centimeter tall Krystal papercraft, the second Krystal papercraft of this size I've ever seen. Pretty good job. All right, and then I announced with some fanfare that I'm back. I am indeed back. I'm finally back from Everfree Northwest and my cosplay requirements, and I was going to not be doing anything except working on the Krystal Archive for a while, thankfully. So we can get back to that. And with that, we started with Nintendo at E3 2017, a big deal. Nintendo talked about a lot of stuff. Of course, they didn't talk about a Star Fox game, but they did talk about some really interesting, they started some really interesting Metroid related projects. Metroid Prime 4 was announced, and they announced the very soon release of a remake of Metroid 2, which I'm super excited about. That's coming out on September 15th, which is just a few days from the recording of this video. First time that game's ever been remade. Now, after the relatively lackluster sales, I mean really lackluster sales of Star Fox Zero, it's really kind of too soon to expect anything Star Fox related as far as new projects go from Nintendo. So we didn't really have much hope of seeing Star Fox here, but maybe in 2018, you know. But Nintendo's showing at E3 was great. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed chatting with all of you as we watched that together. Okay, we've got another papercraft, sort of. This is a Krystal QB papercraft. It's kind of, if you don't have the time and patience to do one of those realistic polygonal papercrafts, you can do this one, which is just a few cubes glued together. Next, we had, okay, so this was a mistake on my part. In an effort to get news out quickly, I announced that Ayahara's real name is Taika Irusia. I'm not even going to try. That name that you're seeing on screen, I thought her real name was that because I saw an updated Wikipedia entry about the voice actors. Now, I was later corrected by Ayano, who said that name actually refers to a stage name based on the kind of work she's doing. Apparently, the type of work you're doing is influences what kind of stage name you're using, and this is the type of stage name for a narrator or a storyteller of some kind. And apparently, Ayahara is not her real name either, so we actually don't know what her real name is. But Ayahara was the name she used when she did voice acting. Okay, next we got some new photos from Ayano. Ayano sent me in these photos from Chemocat 6, which is a meetup of furry related comics and cosplayers in Japan. So she sent me a bunch of photos and I posted those on the Flickr group. And then we talked about Cartoon Guru's Adventure Crystal Papercraft. This was the first attempt that I knew of where someone was trying to make a papercraft of the Adventures crystal rather than the Assault crystal for various reasons dealing with the difficulty of this particular model. Her loincloth and the shape of the staff, the shape of the head makes it particularly difficult to do this as a papercraft. And that was shown actually in the fact that this model is unfinished and there's been no progress on it since January 2013. But I thought I should, bring it up and make note of it in case it does change in the future. Now, I'm going to take a little break here in a minute and just check on chat and see how everybody's doing. So let me just see. By the time you see me talking about this, I'll already go back to news articles. So probably don't respond directly to me right now. But let's see how you're doing. Okay, looks like chat is having just kind of a general chat about themselves in relation to Star Fox and what they're doing and the stuff we're talking about with E3. So, okay, we'll move on. All right, we got another Krystal Speed Paint. And again, just like the MMD videos, the Krystal Speed Paints, I tended to get a lot of them at once, which was really helpful in giving me content to post in a trickle, one day at a time. But that's why you're seeing a lot of the same sort of thing, MMD videos, speed paint videos. Anyway, this one, the artist actually had never uploaded the final artwork, but when I asked him on YouTube, he did actually upload the artwork. So you can check out the final version as well as see how it was drawn. Okay, so Star Fox Event Horizon showed off its final environments previews. He showed off 10 new areas. Undying Nephilim has decided that, well, he talked about canceling it before, but, well, not canceling, just kind of putting it on the back burner. This was him kind of finishing out what he had. And, excuse me, but he finished out what he had, but he may come back to it in the future, but this is kind of like just getting it to a stopping point, and he wanted to finish out these levels. So with these levels finished, he's now moved on to other projects, and as far as I know, hasn't really posted much after this, unless I'm forgetting some other news item. But hopefully he'll come back to it at some point in the future. Starting to lose my voice here. All right, we got the next round of Furry Fiesta images from Volpine Media. He's been slowly editing them as he gets some time. So he got uploaded 27 new photos, including one of my favorites. An idea of mine was we went to the gaming room in the convention and asked the other guys playing Smash Bros. Hey, do you mind if we have Krystal sit here and play Super Smash Bros. Brawl, or sorry, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U with you guys, just kind of as a photo op, And they were fine with it, and they played, and unfortunately, somehow, unlike playing the Nintendo Switch, Ayano really couldn't actually see the TV. So she did her best, but she wasn't doing too terribly well with Smash Brothers. But hey, it was fun. Also, Krystal did some bartending and some other cool photos, including some photos with two human weirdos that I'm sure no one's ever heard of or seen before. Who could it be? Okay, moving on to page number 8. All right, so yeah, just another quick content. This is Star Fox Misadventures 5, where they take some audio clip from, I think what is it? Family Guy. Was it Family Guy? No, it was not Family Guy. It was Futurama, and they put the Star Fox characters to the, or was it Family? It's one of those two. Anyway. It's a fun little thing where just a funny little joke between Farah and Krystal getting jealous or something like that. I don't know. All right, next. I found something cool. So some of you probably already know this, but in addition to the Spriters resource, there's a website that hosts models in addition to sprite sheets. And this is called the Modelers resource. And it turns out they have 3 different versions of Krystal. Krystal from Star Fox Adventures, ripped directly from the game. Krystal from Super Smash Bros. Brawl, her trophy, ripped from the game. And Krystal from Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, ripped from the game. As well as dozens and dozens and dozens of other Star Fox related things like an R-Wing model, Star Fox Assault ships, Star Fox Adventures characters, Star Fox 64 enemies and ships, the original Star Fox, some custom-made ships there. Bayonetta 2 had that Fox mercenary outfit. A bunch of stuff from the Smash Brothers games. Just tremendous numbers. So check those out, especially if you want to do some modeling. You want a model to base your rig upon. You can just download the Adventures model and rig the character like this and animate her dancing or something. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, man. Okay, so here I found out that Star Fox Online had ceased to be under the management of DZ Composer and has now been placed under the administration of DJ Girlism, Sawtooth, and Dr. Orange, who I had spoken to personally about the matter. We're hoping to, in the future, have a little bit of more of a collaboration with the Star Fox related stuff that the Krystal Archive does. We haven't done that yet, but it's coming up. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon we're going to work together on some of that. Anyway, more Star Fox news in the future is always good. Okay, now this is fun. So we have my 3D printable Krystal. So I took this model here that I found, this one, from Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, and I plugged it in, did a little modification, which took a couple of days, and managed to make something that would be 3D printable. I didn't expect it to work at all. I expected it to be kind of not working very well. I expected the model to fail, actually, but it didn't. It worked almost perfectly on the first try. And this is really remarkable because there's a lot of details like these hair overhangs right here and the relatively thin arms that stick out and overlap each other. This is just really hard to 3D print, but it came out. And well, actually I have it right here. Let me see if I can show you. I'm gonna switch over to the video software for a second. Whoa, all right. What is it? Yep, there we go. So on the stream, you should be seeing this model, and I'm going to wait just a minute so I can see it on the stream over there. But this is the model. I hope it doesn't come out blurry. It's about to come up for me on the there. Whoa, it's about to come up for me on the stream. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So what you're seeing there is the backpack. Looks like it's still focused on me behind me. Sorry about the blur, guys. But anyway, you can see there's a lot of detail here. It printed really well. I couldn't believe that the neckline actually printed. Look at that. You can actually see the neckline of her what is it called? A neck, a turtleneck. It's like her turtleneck is sticking out, and it's perfectly done. Also, the tail printed really well. Some of the stuff on the bottom here, you can see the overhang didn't work very well. And that could be fixed with a different printing method, which I haven't experimented with. The legs came out really well. Unfortunately, it's kind of back heavy thanks to the tail. The tail's really heavy. And so she actually won't stand up on her own. Although she could if she was glued down or had some kind of stand to put her in. So that's going to be something I'm going to try and do in the future, is to put a little notch in there so you could actually set her down on a stand and she'd stand up, as well as other things like trying to increase the resolution. I did actually try something. I'm going to show you this. I haven't posted about this, but I did try and break up the model into smaller pieces that could be printed individually and then assembled. And unfortunately, that produced not very good results. You can see here that the head looks okay. I just printed the head and the hair separately and then stuck the hair on. And the hair was actually printed upside down like this. and the head was printed straight up and down like this. And it didn't come out very well. It didn't come out very well at all. This one actually came out better, just printing it straight up and down. So I'm probably going to abandon this method and try a different method that uses dissolvable filament, so I can print very high detail stuff right up into all these crevices, and then I just stick it in some water and it will dissolve away that part, and then you get a clean model from as a result. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my video. Let's see if that worked. Yep, it did. Okay, sorry about that. I'm learning OBS all the time. I have some hotkeys set up, but I got to make sure it works. So that's enough for 3D printing Krystal. Let's move on to Team Krystal and their Get Krystal in Smash campaign. This is being headed by Jordan Sweeto, a big-time Krystal fan. And I got to talking with him about his strategy to get Krystal in Smash. And it basically boils down to being very positive about Krystal in various public Nintendo-watched social places like their Facebook group or other things. There was actually a place where Nintendo asked people for their some results, not some results. There were some places where Nintendo was asking for Nintendo fans to give their perspective on something, and we were encouraging them to talk about Krystal. I can't remember where. We're going to be talking about that in a moment when there's going to be another post about that, but it ended up being somewhat successful. So then we did the E3 2017 live stream. Oh, I'm sorry. So I guess that previous post about E3 was about preparing for E3, and this was actually E3. So here we go. We did the E3 and we did the chat, and that was fun. And I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Okay, next. So Star Fox Event Horizon from Undying Nephilim, they finally released demo number 7, bringing the total number of test levels to 47. Wow. More than 24 playable characters. And I think this is the last demo he released. So anyway. So they did the E3 announcements with the Metroid Prime 4. That was always good. You can check all the announcements from there. Unfortunately, I heard that the Star Fox and Krystal campaigning on social media was successful for a time. However, a bunch of comments on the posts on the Nintendo's videos and stuff got treated as spam. Probably not so much from Nintendo themselves, thinking that it was a spam attack, but from other overzealous fans who said, you know, they are directly opposed to Krystal, and so they used their time to spam all these people's comments. But it was relatively successful, and so I think Nintendo got the message. So we'll see in the future, of course. Okay, Nikki Tins showed off her progress on her Krystal cosplay mask. She had to print it in fourths, and she decided to change her progress or her method after this, but she decided to show what she had so far, which is looking pretty good. It's based on that other model, the model from Little Dragon, as you can kind of tell from the way the shape of the head is. Next we had a speed art using beads. This person, MacFox Drawn, uses Hama beads where he places them in a grid pattern to make a Krystal pixel art, and then heats them up so they all stick together. And you can find this kind of pixel art for Krystal, not just here with this person, but several other people have done this as well. So they're pretty easy to find on DeviantArt or for Affinity if you're looking for that sort of thing. If you search under Krystal pixel art, page 6. Now, when I was looking at the other Krystal paper crafts, I actually found quite a few, and so I had a series of these, just like the MMD videos and the speed drawing videos. So Ignatus made a Krystal papercraft based on Star Fox Assault, and as far as I know, this is the most popular Krystal papercraft. It's the one that the previous two videos of large Krystal papercrafts were based upon. Several people have done this one, including 404bot and Tetris DA, and you can still download it. Unfortunately, the original location where it had been posted, as well as the original artist who made it, Ignatius, he is gone from the internet, so no more from him, unfortunately. Okay, next we have a Krystal Smash Brothers Zero Suit Samus skin. This replaces Zero Suit Samus with Krystal, with relatively similar body proportions and the fact that Krystal can carry a pistol, just like Zero Suit Samus. It worked out pretty well, although her tail, I'm told, is not rigged, and as a result, it just kind of sticks out in midair. But hey, if you want to put some Krystal in your Smash Brothers, this is probably one of the best ways to do it. And we have a video showing that off. Okay, so next we have the Aggravator. Decided to try his hand at making his own Smash mod using the Adventures Krystal, and he got to work rigging it. He got the model off of that game game models page, the modeler's resource, and began rigging it up and trying it out. And he was posting his progress on Game Banana, which is a place where there's a bunch of mods where they keep track of mods for various games like Super Smash Brothers. Next we have another Krystal Speed Paint. This one is by CeeLo, and this is just a quick one, but unfortunately CeeLo has not posted it publicly, so I just posted to our gallery instead. Next we have a mod for GTA 5. This is the Star Fox R-Wing and the Great Fox. And Star Fox R-Wing is a full-featured fighter plane. You can fly it anywhere you want and shoot out the front. I think it's just a regular high-speed aircraft ammo rather than missiles or plasma blasts, but you can shoot with this one. The Great Fox, on the other hand, is modeled more like a jumbo liner and doesn't have any guns to speak of, and it flies relatively slowly. But it's really cool to see those models to scale in the games. So if you want to mod your GTA 5 with some Star Fox, here you go. This is how you can do it. Next, I talked about this custom Krystal amiibo mod by HyperShadow92. He took a Zero Suit Samus amiibo, added a tail, added a tail from Fox that has been painted to look like Krystal's tail, and took a Fox amiibo and took the head off and repainted the Fox amiibo to look more like Krystal's color scheme, glued it all together, and showed it off in his video. So pretty cool, pretty cool. Next, if you want to put some Krystal in your Soul Calibur 5, this YouTube user, Original Cortland, shows how you can adjust all the in-game character creation systems to make a Krystal-like human character, complete with the Assault bodysuit. So check that out. This person showed off a bunch of glitches. This is from Super Seos. He was working on speedrunning the game, and in the process was trying to find some glitches that might possibly help him skip something or do some sequence breaks on the game. And so he posted a video showing a bunch of little glitches he found, and they're all super interesting and how they can happen in games. I really like this kind of stuff where you can see both where the game systems work and where they break down. So more on that, in other videos. But you should definitely check out like how mistakes can be made if you're looking into making games yourself. Okay, so a long running Super Smash Bros. Character ballot has been running for a really long time, unofficial through Nintendo Life. Finished up and found that Krystal was number one, the number one choice by a wide margin. Except not really. She was actually, somebody went in there with a script and voted tons and tons of times. Krystal was not actually legitimately the number one ranked character, but because she was so popular, the guy had already written about it. He decided to write about her anyway, And shame on you, you overzealous fans, but nevertheless, Krystal did come in on 20 or 25th in the ranking, which is pretty good among characters, especially when she's competing against the like the Squid Kids from Splatoon and stuff like that. Okay, so then we saw. I finally got a chance to go back through some E3 videos from the other companies, not just Nintendo, and I happened upon I think it was the Ubisoft conference, and Ubisoft. I ran into this trailer first, but I found it in one of the conferences. Anyway, there's this game called Starlink Battle for Atlas, and it's basically like a Star Fox if they were to mix Star Fox with No Man's Sky. You get to go into space. You're fighting this intergalactic war with various ships that you can modify using amiibo-like functionality by attaching and detaching these guns and wings and features to your ship, and then you fly down to the planets and explore. And it looks like it's everything that No Man's Sky wanted to be but couldn't be, and as far as I can tell, it was the most close thing to Star Fox that we were going to get for a while. So if you were looking for a Star Fox game, follow the development of this game. It might end up being something that can kind of give you that Star Fox fix. If I remember correctly, this was kind of a funny post because the very next day, there was a Star Fox announcement, if I remember correctly. Yes, the very next day, I'm talking about what you can do to hold you over until you get a new Star Fox game. Lo and behold, Nintendo announces, to literally everyone's surprise, you know what? We are going to release Star Fox 2. It's been 20 years. I think it's time to release this game. They announced the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, and it's going to come with 10 games plus Star Fox 2, the never before released, most famous unreleased game of all time, is finally coming. And we'd known that it's been complete. We'd seen in previous interviews with Dylan Cuthbert that the game had been so close to completion that they decided to completely finish it and get it ready. They didn't do the packaging and they didn't do the instruction booklet, but they did do the game. And I think they even did the testing and they did the translation, and then they locked it away in the Nintendo Vault, never to be seen again. Dylan Cuthbert did get a chance to try it out again when he was developing Star Fox Command, but he didn't think it would ever be released, and then Nintendo decided to release it as a bonus. Also a bonus, the original Star Fox, the first game to use the Super FX chip, which had also never been re-released before, is also going to get a release here on the Super NES Mini. And we think it's probably difficult for them to do emulations because of the complexities, or possibly even the copyright issues related to, the patenting issues related to the Super FX chip. But apparently they worked something out because they made this Super Nintendo, and I'm sorry, it's a lot more than 10 games. Look at that. Look at all these games, including Star Fox and Star Fox 2. The game is going to go on sale on September 29th, later this month, for $80. So get on that if you haven't got one already. Yeah, Dylan Cuthbert, sorry. Okay, next thing. We got our official Star Fox 2 artwork, and from now on it's going to be a lot of Star Fox 2 news, I'm sorry. But Star Fox 2 art, we got to see this new artistic style, and people were wondering, what is this style from? Where are they getting this style? But it's really cool, and we finally get to see Faye and Miu here in this style, along with Fox, Slippy, Peppy, and Falco. And I really like that Slippy's hat has Slippy on it. It's like the hat that your mom gives you. It's got your own name on it. It's cute. Anyway, I really like this comic book style, and I'm hoping to see somebody do Krystal in this style. Also, a new logo, Star Fox 2, with this like techno girder thing, like the outside of a ship, like the panels on the ship. Okay, next thing, we found out more about Star Fox 2. So Star Fox, the Japanese Star Fox, Japanese Super Famicom Mini was announced along with the Japanese Star Fox 2 box art, which shows you more of their not metal legs, metal boots for all the different members of Star Fox, as well as this very classic looking Star Fox 2 box art. And by the way, I have the original I actually have the Japanese version of Star Fox for the Super Famicom. I can't play it, but I bought it just kind of for the collectible value. It turns out Nintendo fans in Japan keep their cartridges and their boxes forever. So buying a Star Fox original Famicom cartridge with the original manual and box was pretty cheap, actually. But it's super cool that they went back to that exact same style for the Star Fox 2. And they also, I'm told that this box style for the Super Famicom Mini is identical to the box style that they used when they released the original Super Famicom in Japan. So that's pretty cool. Next, I finally posted the Krystal Archive Podcast 38. That was done as a video podcast, and I had just finished my surgery, as we talked about at the beginning of this podcast. And I had never actually released it as an audio episode, so people who were listening to the audio podcast, they were subscribed to the audio podcast via iTunes or whatever, finally got to listen to it. So sorry for the delay on that one. I hope to get this one out a lot sooner than that. Next we have, so again, another piece of news that ended up not being correct, but I found a translation of the Nintendo's 77th annual General Shareholder Meeting, in which Nintendo was translated as saying, "We want to make an anime for Pikmin, Star Fox, Yoshi, etc., and distribute it freely, or integrate it into games." Excuse me. I interpreted that to mean that Miyamoto was planning to work on new animations for Star Fox, and that may still be the case. Although I had to issue a correction somewhere. I issued a correction here from Ayano Haramaki again, who said that I did not have that translated exactly correctly. And having looked into translation issues related to Japanese and English translations, there is a common misconception among people who say watch a lot of anime and they swear by the dub rather than, they swear by the subtitled version rather than the English dub version, because they say that the dub version is the correct translation and it is the most accurate literal translation to English. We don't want this localization. Unfortunately, people who actually work in localization, apparently, this is them saying this, not me, but what they say is that there is actually no such thing as a literal translation between Japanese and English. The concepts don't directly translate a lot of the times. And as a result, what a lot of fans consider to be ghastly, incorrectly done translations may actually be trying to encompass the original spirit of the translation, but not the actual literal words, because there's also you have to translate not just the language but also the cultural norms and turns of phrase and stuff like that. Anyway, all that aside, Ayano said that a more accurate translation would be something like, "We made anime of Pikmin, Star Fox, Yoshi, etc., and distribute it freely and integrate it into our games." So it's not so much that they're saying they will work on it, is they want to use what they already have and show it off. Now, that's not to say that Nintendo won't. They certainly had a fantastic fan reaction to the Star Fox anime that they did for Star Fox Zero. Still waiting for episode 2 on that, but Star Fox could really, really, really work well as an anime. So I hope Nintendo gives it a try. More about that in upcoming posts. Okay, as you kind of saw earlier, Nikki Tens finished her first version of the Crystal Mask, and she finally glued it together. It's a little off, but nothing a little sanding can't fix. Of course, as soon as she finished this, she immediately started working on version 2. And basically, by the time I finished posting about this, Oh, you can see some of her other costumes back here, including that one. By the time I finished posting this, she'd already begun printing the second one. This is the second one. Printed in a slightly different way at different angles, and it came out much cleaner, and she was able to sand it a bit. See, this is version 1, this is version 2. And she's also working on printing the back as well. So it ends up being like more than 8 pieces. Plus the ears too. You got to add the ears at the end. So she's going to try that. Now, I don't think she's updated this, but I actually got to talk to Nikki Tins directly about this cosplay, and she said that she's actually going to do a third time. This is some information she hasn't really talked about yet, but she's actually going to work on it a third time, and this time she's going to do, she learned a technique that's actually kind of brilliant that I hadn't thought of before, which is rather than printing the mask directly on a 3D printer, she's going to print the inverse of the mask. She's going to take the mask and cut it away from a square block and then print the square block with a cavity where the crystal mask would be, and then she's going to fill that with plaster or something and make the mask out of a single piece. And the good thing about that is, you know, once you make one, you can make multiple of these masks. And that's just and it's also because you're printing it inside out, you actually can kind of print it easier because you can print it in a lot more pieces, smaller pieces, and then glue them together without having to worry about the structural integrity of the mask, because the mask is actually going to be one giant piece that you literally pour in as a liquid later on. So anyway, looking forward to seeing further progress on that. Okay, so somebody, let's see, SAB64 posted this Star Fox R-Wing for MMD. This is a model that he got from Star Fox Guard that is an animatable rig in Miku Miku Dance. The cockpit canopy can open and close, the wings can be adjusted, and the guns can be revealed or hidden. So if you need, and some people actually do use Miku Miku Dance for more than just dancing. They can actually have full animated scenes. Although it may not be the best thing for animating a 3D scene, it is an option if you want to give that a try. So anyway, that's an option available to you. Okay, next. Somebody got together with Dylan Cuthbert and Giles Goddard of Viti Games, two of the original developers from Star Fox for the Super Nintendo. And these were some English-speaking developers, not the Japanese-speaking developers. Dylan was, if you don't know, Dylan Cuthbert was kind of a, he was a maverick, not a maverick. He broke new ground on bringing 3D graphics to really, really low-end systems, which you can see in one of his first games, a 3D Game Boy game that was never released in Japan, in America, called X. And Star Fox would eventually become based upon X. The kind of polygonal models that they made there would become the polygonal models that they kind of worked with to make the Star Fox R-Wings in their first game. Anyway, these two English-speaking developers of Star Fox got together on July 4th, which was terrible timing because everybody's going to go to the fireworks. But anyway, they got together to play the original Star Fox together and reminisce about making the game and talk about, you know, the development decisions they made along the way. It's got some language, some adult language, so watch out for that. But the whole thing is still available for viewing now if you want to watch that. So check that out. I highly encourage it if you're interested in making games. You can see kind of how they came up with their ideas and where their trade-offs were. And also the fact that Nintendo kind of brings up a lot is that usually, with Nintendo games at least, the gameplay comes first, the characters and stories come second as a consequence of that. Okay, next we've got a new Krystal cosplay from Mugi. This is a Japanese cosplayer, roughly translated as Mumu or Mugi. She posted a couple of pictures on Twitter showing a Krystal fabric bodysuit, much like Ayano's, along with armor, a staff, a wig, ears, and clothing And unlike Ayano, who wears a solid mask, this cosplayer used what looks like some prosthetics to give herself a little bit of a muzzle. Interesting cosplay. She doesn't speak English, much like Ayano. So I was able to communicate with her, and I haven't posted this yet, but I will be posting more about her cosplay based on some of the conversations we had. I was able to learn about how she made it, how long it took her to make it, the different techniques she used, stuff like that. So I'm going to make her a Krystal cosplay page just like the other cosplayers in the future. Okay, page 4. All right, we have another Krystal charm. This was something I found out about from some of our E3 chats. There is a listing on a Japanese product site where you can see different anime characters and video game characters, and this is like a keychain for Krystal, and you can unfortunately, by the time I post this, it was not available. Although they could possibly make more because this is kind of an on-demand thing. So anyway, the person who told me about this was telling me that they actually got the last one. Anyway, there are other characters as well, other Star Fox characters if you're interested in one of those. Okay, so I took some more time off. I've been posting pretty regularly every day and in accordance with my new schedule, but I had to take some time off because I had another surgery. And it made me, I had to be on some serious drugs, well, some serious painkillers for a little while, and they made me super woozy, and I just didn't feel up to doing much of anything. And by the way, I was working at that time. Even though I had surgery and I was woozing, I still managed to try and put in a day's work. And as a result, I didn't really have time or energy to work on the Krystal archive. So sorry about that little delay, but I managed to get back into it on July 25th with a new, very interesting thing from the Star Fox Adventures speedrunning community. They discovered the so-called Krystal corruption glitch, wherein, with a carefully crafted save file, one can jump directly from working with Krystal in the game's intro directly to the end of the game and beat the game in a grand total of 18 minutes 46 seconds, most of which is spent just getting the first Krazoa spirit, or sorry, just doing like the final boss and getting Krystal to the Krazoa Palace. Because once she gets to the Krazoa Palace, she can immediately activate this glitch and start jumping around the file names. And this, I've learned, is one of the reasons why when people are doing speed runs and they have their video, showing, oh yeah, I totally, beat the game this fast, right? They have to prove that they did it with a video or whatever. They, for some games, and now it looks like for Star Fox Adventures, they're going to have to show that they have no other save files other than the one that they're using for that current game, because they can do stuff like this. This game is susceptible to it. It turns out that The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is susceptible to this kind of glitch, wherein you can jump from the beginning of the game to the very end of the game and beat the game in like 10 minutes. But anyway, people at the time that this was posted were trying to decide whether they should allow this as a legitimate speedrunning technique. I think they ended up making it just a new category. But it is interesting, this maximum possible speed using this incredible glitch. All right, next we've got another Krystal Smash mod in progress. This time somebody is attempting to go all the way, and rather than repurposing an existing rig from the games, this one's actually taking the Little Dragon rig and trying to turn that into a Super Smash Bros. Character. The person who's working on it, Shadow Snake, I think, yeah, he's using Palutena as the base because she can use a staff. So the animations that exist for her will be able to be mapped fairly easily to this Krystal model. At least in theory. This is apparently an incredibly complicated process. I don't know of any mods that actually make their own animations from scratch. Perhaps whatever tool that Nintendo uses to make the animations for these characters is just not available and they haven't figured it out yet. So anything they would do would have to be mapped to the animations of an existing character. Okay, we got another little animation from that gentleman, the Iron Gauntlet, who had done that Wolf versus Krystal animation. This is a really short, funny little animation that features Fox and Wolf. I won't ruin it, but there is a Krystal presence in this video as well. Okay, next we have a speed color. Now this one was my fault. I had been looking through a different site, Instagram, for Krystal related content to post about, and I found this speed drawing. And what didn't occur to me is that this is actually identical to the speed drawing posted a few months earlier that I didn't realize at the time. I gave an update about that. I had already posted about it. Whoops. But anyway, to my defense, it was on a completely different website. It had a different format, so I couldn't tell that it was the same until somebody pointed it out. Sorry about that. Next, we have another MMD. This is a model preview. Okay, yeah. So this guy, I can't pronounce his name, but this person is working on using Gray Firefox's rig rather than one directly from the game. So it's slightly higher quality and working on giving it fur rendering. And other stuff to try and give a much higher quality dancing rig. He hasn't released this yet as far as I know, but he's working on one for both Krystal and Fox so they can do duet videos together. Okay, and then My Nintendo announced some Star Fox game sales where you can, for some reason, spend some of your platinum points to get discounts off of other Star Fox games that have already been released. 30% off Star Fox Zero, Star Fox 64 3D is also 30% off, and 40% off Star Fox Command. It is good that they're re-releasing these games and making them available for sales, but it's kind of odd to pay for a sale. It's just weird. Anyway, the person who was working on the R-Wing model and the Fox McCloud rig for MMD, SAB64, also released this Landmaster and Falco MMD rig. So if you want some more of those, the gun turret can move up and down, the wheel treads can move, and other animations are available as well. Okay, so I don't know how I found this one, but there's a gentleman who goes by Pacific Trading Post, and he has been going to conventions and talking to actors and actresses and developers in various game and movie and comic book industries to get custom signed prints of various things. And he had 3 different Krystal signed prints, as well as several other Star Fox characters. He had Estelle Ellis sign the Krystal promo from Dinosaur Planet, which doesn't make sense because she didn't actually voice that version of Krystal. The Star Fox Adventures poster, which you can see here, it says Krystal and then Estelle Ellis's signature. And then another one, the Krystal promo wallpaper, which is just Krystal against a white background. And that one is unfortunately already sold. I don't know if these have been sold since, but if you're interested in getting some Krystal related signed merchandise, this is for you. All right, page number 3. We're getting towards the home stretch. I don't even know how long have I. An hour and 30 minutes. Not bad considering how much content we have. Okay, Tech knows Krystal mod for Counter-Strike source. This is using a very, very old model that was originally used it was originally a low poly model from Charlie Fox that I think was really made available for the use in Unreal Tournament 2K4, And apparently it was able to easily be transitioned to work with Counter-Strike Source. So you can download that off of Game Banana, which seems to be the source for game mods these days. Next we have, this was a week-long or 5-day-long discussion on my part. I had been thinking about this a while. You know, what would it take to get a Star Fox anime? And in the absence of a Star Fox anime, what could we watch instead? What would give us that Star Fox feeling? So I talked about all the different Nintendo animated properties out there. There are so many. I remember as a kid, I watched the Super Mario Super Show, Super Mario World. I watched Kirby Right Back at You for a short time. I saw a few episodes of the Donkey Kong Country show. Holy cow, is that show creepy and weird. And I didn't even recognize it at the time, but man, is that thing weird. F-Zero GP Legend, I never actually watched this show, but I wanted to. It was really... Other than Star Fox, I think F-Zero made one of the best transitions to anime, actually. Because there were so many different characters with all their different backstories and interconnected stories and kind of the conspiracy that they can go with. You know, there's only so much you can do with Kirby, but F-Zero has just tons to work from. Pokemon, probably one of the most successful animes of all time. I mean, thousands of animated shows, 20 animated movies or more. And then, of course, we had the animated shorts from Pikmin and Yoshi. Fire Emblem has had an anime in Japan. And, of course, Star Fox Zero, The Battle Begins, which I feature here. This was fantastic. They kind of left us hanging with kind of an episode that was kind of sort of based on the first level of Star Fox Zero. But then they ended it with a kind of a conspiracy and nothing. There's no second episode as far as we know. I really wish Nintendo would take what they learned from The Battle Begins and make a full-fledged show. It would be fantastic. But in the meantime, what can we watch instead? What shows and movies would be Star Fox-like enough to catch our interest? Well, I had a few thoughts. First one being the Firefly and Serenity series. This was a space cowboy western type show featuring some lawless thief with a heart of gold and their various characters in this new solar system with dozens of planets and hundreds of moons, and the movie that follows after it. And I talk about it and why it's similar to Star Fox. Really cool. Basically, it's like the Wild West except with spaceships. And it leads to a really interesting dynamic when space travel, as in Star Fox, is just another fact of life, you know. Okay, the next one I had was Guardians of the Galaxy, a relatively successful new movie series from the Marvel Universe. This one, like Star Fox, again, has the space travel being just another fact of everyday life. These people are a bit more hero-like. They're criminals, but they later become the saviors of the galaxy because of their rather odd quirks that each of them has, much like the original Star Fox team have wildly different personalities from each other. And also, with this movie, we have the character of Rocket. And Rocket is a raccoon that has been genetically modified to have human intelligence and speech. And, you know, he represents kind of the best case scenario, pretty much, for having a serious anthropomorphized character that's not in like an animation, you know. So if we were ever going to have a realistic Star Fox, Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy would be about our best case scenario as far as that. And he's a good character. He's funny and he gets stuff done. So I like him. And he's voiced by a cool guy. So, you know. Anyway. Next one is a lesser known one called the Stormhawks. And I don't know how many of you guys have known this. This is a relatively lesser known cartoon. But the Stormhawks is very similar thematically to Star Fox. Very similar. It's not taking place in space, but we have a crew of misfits who fly aboard a large container ship, flying these convertible flying motorcycles, and they are basically a mercenary slash government group that goes out and tries to stop the evil big Cyclonus Empire, which themselves have their own ships and rivals, much like Star Wolf from the Star Fox series of games. So anyway, it's a cool show in concept. It's not executed very well. There's only a few episodes that are really very good, and I think that's largely due to them kind of dumbing down the content. There's a lot more potential with this series than they actually took advantage of, and I'm really sorry about that. But there are a few episodes that are definitely worth watching. So if you're looking for something Star Fox related that's actually a show, not a movie, give Star Fox a try. It's really pretty good. Lastly, my last suggestion was the SWAT Cats. This was a surprise to probably no one, but the SWAT Cats are actually anthropomorphic flying good guys who fight monsters in midair. It's basically Star Fox, only there's only two of them, and there's a lot more on the ground fighting than there is in the air fighting. They don't go into space. They're using a jet fighter rather than a spaceship. And it's got the typical stuff that you expect from a 90s TV show. Catchphrases, trying too hard to be cool, some kind of awkward dialogue, but I remember it, even as a kid, being just really cool. Just a really cool show. And I actually haven't gotten to see a lot of it because it came on with a soft launch, and by the time I heard about it, and at the time I did not have the Cartoon Network as a channel, so by the time I heard about it, it was almost finished being on air, and they later would cancel it. But anyway, it's looking like it's going to have a resurgence soon. They're actually going to make a new version of the SWAT Cats. Not a remake, but a brand new series based on the IP. They had a successful Kickstarter, and so we'll see where they go with that. This was only a few months ago. Maybe they'll take some, maybe they'll make something, less 90s, still cool, still action-packed, still serious, but at the same time without the annoying catchphrases and clunky story structures that often come when you're trying to make the same episode every episode, so people don't get confused. I'd like to have an anime like animes did, where the story flows from one episode to the next. Anyway, those were my suggestions, and several of you had some of yours. One that I completely missed because I had literally never seen a single episode of it was Bucky O'Hare. That was one. Somebody suggested Cowboy Bebop, which is another cowboy in space anime. So yeah, give those a try, and if you can think of some more, let me know. I'm always looking for more things to give it a try. So those are my suggestions. So we're going to move on from that. That was a 5-post epic. We're moving on to other things. So next we have Bagel of Time's crystal sculpture. Bagel of Time made painted this crystal sculpture for a art class and entered it in an art contest back in February of 2017. She didn't win, but she posted photos on Instagram, and I was able to manage to get in contact with her, which I'll be talking about in a later post. And this thing, I'm not sure exactly how big it is. It's probably not that big, but it looks big when you look at it here, but it's actually probably not all that big. It's probably only like 4 or 5 inches tall. Yeah. Okay, this is not a released rig, and it has never been shown as a video, but HBR 102989 has been working on a humanized crystal MMD rig, so that was interesting. Next we have my first of many Star Fox Assault 4K videos. I did the research, and though I've been meaning to do it for a long time, I finally got around to really looking into it deeply and found out how to correctly record Star Fox Assault videos. at high resolution on an emulator. And there are a lot more factors involved than there were in Star Fox Adventures. I'll save those details for you from you. I'll save you from those details for now. But this video was my first in that it was not a cutscene, but a re-examination of one of my previous videos where I highlighted the difference between Star Fox Assault in America and other English-speaking countries and the Japanese original. And you can actually see it here on the thumbnail. In the Japanese version, when the first Aperoid appears and shoots at your team, it aims at Slippy. But in the English version, it aims at Krystal. And I made this fun little video where I highlight that fact and show it in high resolution. I actually recorded the video very high resolution so that I could zoom in on it and it would still look very high resolution even at 4K. I used my experience from recording that 8K video to get myself 8K quality video showing this. So when I made my 4K video, we could see a lot more detail. So check that out. It's a pretty funny video the way I edited it together. Not just a regular old cutscene, but this is the first one in a series. Okay, Ayano finally updated. Ayano had not been posting very much lately. She had been dealing with some health issues, and she is actually this morning she posted again, finally after a long time of not posting, saying that she's still having some more health issues. So we hope she recovers. But in the meantime, she'd begun posting some photos that are probably the last photos we'll get to see of her in her so-called summer suit, which is a thinner fur costume, until winter is over for next year. So anyway, I'm glad she's posting again. Hope she feels better. And we're going to move back to page number 2. Okay, so we have just kind of a heads up about the Super NES Classic pre-orders coming soon. Nintendo announced that at some point in August they would be releasing pre-orders on the Super NES Classic. And I also heard that an N64 had a patent or trademark taken out for the controller, which has led some to speculate, and not without due cause, that Nintendo is going to be releasing an N64 Classic probably in 2018, which of course is going to have Star Fox 64 on it. I mean, come on. But there's one other thing, and that is there's another famous unreleased Star Fox related game, much like Star Fox 2, that was shown off but never released, and that is of course Dinosaur Planet. Dinosaur Planet was not nearly as complete as Star Fox 2 was when it was canceled. So there's a very, very slim chance of them finishing that up and releasing it, especially since Rare is now owned by Nintendo, or sorry, by Microsoft, and that license is probably gone forever. But people were also saying that there's no way that Star Fox 2 is ever going to be released, and here we are today with the Super NES Mini coming out. So just putting that out there, and then yeah, we're just preparing for the Super NES Classic. Okay, this next one is a new Krystal cosplayer that Ayano actually mentioned on her Twitter. Pepita is a rough translation of her name, that's her. Pepita is her Twitter handle. Her name roughly translates to Dayfox. And she, along with several of her cosplaying friends, did a Star Fox photo shoot featuring Wolf, Leon, Panther, Fox, Falco, Slippy, and of course Krystal. They did many, many photos, which I linked all to, as well as some of her work in progress shots. And this cosplay group is interesting in that I'm pretty sure, although I can't be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that all of these cosplayers are actually female cosplayers, and they're doing a fairly good job of imitating a human version of these various characters. So good job, you guys. I'm hoping to get in contact with Pepita soon so that I can get some more details about her cosplay for making a post on the site, or a page on the site for her cosplay. As far as I know, this was just a one-time event. I doubt that she'll be doing cosplay again. As Krystal, anyway. She's a regular cosplayer. Next, we found a hand-painted Krystal painting on Etsy for sale by the Second Dimension, who does a lot of video game character paintings. And basically, a few minutes after I posted this, our good friend Volpine Media snatched it up. It was $37, and it's probably going to go on his wall somewhere. So good on you on getting that one. I hope you really enjoy it. Next, the guy who made the Krystal amiibo from the Zero Suit Samus amiibo combined with a Fox amiibo and some paint decided to make a custom Krystal amiibo box featuring art from Star Fox Assault and custom text. And if you look at the video, you can actually see on the back he added custom wording and imagery from Krystal as she appeared in various games on the back to describe the character. So really good job kind of doing the whole package there, you know. Next we have some more glitches and adventures. Now this is a one-time camera glitch that happened when Krystal was in the Krazoa Palace. I talked to the guy who was working on this, who was actually recording this glitch. This glitch was being done as part of a speed run, and I asked him like what he did to trigger it and can he re-trigger it, and he said I can't. I don't know what caused it, but something went wrong with the recording, or sorry, with the game when he was recording. He can't fix it or he can't reproduce it yet, as far as he knows. And if you watch the video, it actually gives you a headache because the camera is doing all kinds of weird stuff, and the stuff that it's doing is not a problem with his capture device. It's actually the camera is just jumping back and forth and zooming way out and not doing the right thing in various times. So it gets a really weird look in there. Next thing, we have a bunch. Let's see. On this date, we had. Let's see. It was August 22nd. Nintendo did some kind of. They had some kind of release to allow people to talk about. They had their embargo release for people to talk about and post footage for Star Fox 2. And so a bunch of Nintendo news outlets and fan gamers were playing their media copies of their Super NES Classic and showing off various levels, gameplay, character select things, just different stuff from Star Fox 2. They noticed a couple of changes, newer logos, translation differences, which were never official, by the way. The ROM translations were never official translations, so we now have the official translations, which differ a little bit from the fan translations. We have different descriptions on the character screens, like, for example, the R-Wing types are not called R-Wing Type A, Type B, Type C. They're actually called different. They're given actual names. Actually, I'm not sure if they're given those names in the game itself, but that's in something else. We had some name changes for various planets, and also they said that the gameplay was a little bit harder. The enemies were all harder. They all had a higher health count, and they might have been better aim. They might have had better aim or something like that. Game Explain says it feels like a brand new retro sequel, as if they were taking the style of Star Fox 2, or Star Fox 1, I should say, and making a brand new game today using yesteryear's technology. So I think that's a really good analogy to what they're doing. Much like Sonic Mania is doing with their new game that they released, and is very popular. Also on that day, and I found out about this, as many of you did, as I woke up. The Super NES Classic was announced as taking pre-orders today, August 22nd, and unfortunately, they released their pre-orders at like 2 in the morning on Amazon and 4 in the morning at Best Buy. And it turns out that bots were watching these things and bought up all of them pretty much instantly. Later in the day, other outlets would do the same, where they would release their stuff. They would release their pre-orders, Target and then GameStop and a few other places did, and they all sold out almost immediately. I don't know. I only know one person that was able to get a reserve online that day in person. The rest were taken up by bots, as far as we know. And although GameStop was able to take some pre-orders in person if you got there and lined up physically, the GameStop I went to at like 2 p.m. that day said that they had gotten a grand total of 10 and that they were already sold out with those, so don't even bother, you know. GameStop would later announce that day something that they can do, which I'll get into in a little bit. Okay, the next thing, we have actually three videos from Star Fox Assault. So I have the ability now to record Star Fox Assault in 4K, and rather than releasing all the videos at once, partly because it's just a huge amount of video content at 4K, I've decided to kind of break it up where I work on 2 or 3 videos at a time and upload them and then release them, say, once a week. This will give us more content on a more regular schedule and also give me, allow me to handle the sheer number of the sheer file size that these 4K videos are. The first thing I did was the Fortuna briefing from Star Fox Assault. It's a good example that I don't have to worry about dealing with pre-rendered cutscenes, which is going to be another problem in itself. But Star Fox Assault is interesting in that it is not a widescreen game. In fact, you cannot play it in widescreen. There is a widescreen hack that sort of kind of lets you play the game in widescreen, but it doesn't work on these cutscenes. Or rather, it works by shifting the camera outward a little bit, but it also has the effect of stretching all the textures. As a result, these textures, like right here of this planet, or this three-dimensional map of the battlefield, would be stretched out slightly, and planets would no longer be spheres, but they would be ovals. Now, it's not showing here because I didn't actually record it in widescreen. I recorded it in 4:3, which means that even though it's 4K lines across, which is 3,800 something pixels, it's actually higher than 4K. It's 3,840 pixels wide by 2948 pixels rather than 2160 for regular 4K. As a result, if you go and look at this on YouTube and select the quality slider, you'll actually see that they list this video as 5K, not 4K. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know YouTube had that setting. Anyway, you can watch these videos in just as high resolution as you can probably muster on your computer, and this is just part of it because the next day I also posted the Japanese version and something I've been meaning to do for a long time, the mixed version. Now, why do we have both? Well, the Japanese version, in addition to having Japanese subtitles and Japanese voice acting, they did something really weird when they were localizing Star Fox Assault. They needed to redo the lip syncing for the characters in these scenes, in these briefing scenes. Nowhere else in the game, just in the briefing scenes. And they either didn't have time or the budget to fully reanimate their lips and facial movements. So what they did was they took the original Japanese animations, deleted all the animations in the face. They left the body motions and they left the head motions, but they deleted all the animations for the face. And then they attached a volume amplitude detector or something to the up and down motion of the mouth. And as a result, the characters kind of sort of vibrate their mouth in time with the audio of the voice actors, which kind of works, except that they deleted all the facial animation. So as a result, the characters are unblinking, staring straight ahead and showing no emotion whatsoever. They're like robots. You can see in the Japanese version that they're much more expressive, and you can actually see some of their emotions in the sense that whereas in the American version, the characters kind of they'll say something and the characters will just be like, okay, I accept what you say. But in the Japanese version, the characters react in a way that say things like, even though they don't say anything, their facial animations will say like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm upset that you're saying it. Or I can't believe you just said that. I'm surprised by this, you know. So as a way of kind of combining the two, I actually took the Japanese video and I cropped it so it would fit right here. And I played the English subtitles and voice acting on the outside. As a result, you get the expressiveness of the Japanese version with the comprehensibility of the English text and audio. And in this version, in the Fortuna briefing, it actually works really well. The lip syncing matches up almost perfectly with the lip syncing of the Japanese characters. That's not always going to be the case. You haven't seen it yet, but I have. I've finished the ones for the next one for the Katina base. Man, Slippy will like be talking when there's just nothing happening. Like his lips aren't moving. It's like the worst dub. It's like the worst dub you've ever seen. It's hilarious. I'm going to be posting that later this week sometime, so you'll get to see for yourself just how bad the voice acting, the lip syncing would have been if they had just switched out the text and the audio. So I can understand why they did it. I just wish they would have better animated the English translation. But whatever, that's what you got to do. Well, I finally got in contact with Bagel of Time, who actually goes by Victoria Vaporeon. And she sent me a bunch of high-resolution photos of her crystal sculpture bust. And she also sent me a bunch of other stuff about how she made it and how she entered it. Turns out it was actually a 3D modeled crystal in Sculptress that she took about a week to do. And then she had the sculpture 3D printed using a regular 3D printer. And later she would paint it and then glaze it so that it had this shiny look. But you can see she modeled it in this free sculpting program, and then she was able to print it out. So you could actually make your own crystal bust or even crystal mask, as Nikki Tins is doing. Anyway, she did this for her art class, and she entered it in her art show. Didn't win, but it was pretty. She really enjoyed it, and she got to keep it, which was a nice thing. She's been a reader of the Crystal Archive for more than 6 years, so I welcome her and thank her for reading. It's really good. And also, she's thinking about releasing this model public so that you too can take her model and print it out if you so choose. Okay, and that brings us to the current page. So we're almost done, guys. All right, so, well, I didn't get a Super NES Classic, but some of you did. And those of you who didn't, these are my suggestions on how you can handle that. In addition to lying down, trying not to cry, and then crying a great big puddle of tears, you can do it the old-fashioned route, which is line up in front of your store late at night or early in the morning, depending on when they're going to release it, if it's a midnight launch or if it's a morning launch, at your local GameStop. And just make sure you're one of the first 2 or 3 people in line, and you should be good to go. GameStop has announced that they will have some stock available for walk-ins that will not be available for pre-order. Also, Toys R Us elected to not do any pre-orders, and as a result, they will have their entire stock for walk-ins. So if there's just huge lines in front of the GameStop, well, you can go and line up at Toys R Us. I would talk to both kinds of stores, GameStop and Toys R Us, to find out if they're going to be doing a midnight launch versus a morning of launch. I believe Toys R Us almost never does midnight launches. The only midnight launch they ever did, I think, is when they announced and released the toys for Star Wars The Force Awakens. So anyway, just call and make sure. Keep yourself safe there late at night. Hopefully go with a friend or two. Take some blankets if you need to, and plenty of drinks and snacks, because you're going to be waiting there for possibly 6-8 hours. It depends. And on top of all that, if it seems like there are just too many people in line at your local GameStop or Toys R Us, you can also try driving out to a small town out in the middle of nowhere that happens to have a GameStop or Toys R Us. Because the way they distribute products, they tend to send the same amount of stock most of the time to these different stores, different GameStops and different Toys R Us's, regardless of how many people actually live in that town. So as a result, you could potentially have no problem at all getting a Super NES Classic. There may not even be a line. But at this point, I would be careful and just kind of get out there early. Just as I went out to get a pre-order, I had to physically get in line for a pre-order for a Wii and then later for a Nintendo Switch. I got up at 3 in the morning both times, and I'm planning to do the same thing. Although possibly, depending on how bad it is, I might get up even earlier, or maybe just not go to sleep that night. Just drive over there at midnight, and wait all night. We'll see. But I wish you all the best in obtaining this new system to play the latest Star Fox game. Funny how that works. Okay, next we have a Left 4 Dead 2 Krystal mod for Francis. This is a mod by Ruby the Bat that replaces the character Francis, a male, oddly, from Left 4 Dead 2 with Krystal. Using the Krystal rig from Rife 2002. This is the one that looks like Star Fox Adventures Krystal. So, yeah. Give that a try if you like the game. Watch out, though. It's a violent, gory, bloody game. So if you're not into that, don't watch it. All right, next. Nintendo announced that they would be at PAX West with some brand new Nintendo Power posters. So if they were still running Nintendo Power, which they're not, you could have seen this Star Fox 2 cover. And as I understand correctly, today is the last day of PAX West, or maybe it's going into tomorrow because that's a holiday. But anyway, if you went to the Nintendo panel at PAX West, you could have picked up one of these posters. And I'm hoping to get one myself because it looks to be the largest print available of this comic book style artwork. So anyway, if you can't go or you can't get one, Nintendo did post high resolution pictures of all three of them. And maybe they'll post even higher resolution pictures in the future. If so, then you can print your own. Okay, next we had a video about Fox's R-Wing. Taking a bit of a break from working on the Star Fox Assault videos, I decided to try out a video from Star Fox Adventures using what I've learned about emulating at very high resolutions, as you can see from this R-Wing model, which is actually very far away, yet you can see it clearly. Yeah, I must have been, and see these squares here? These are actually dots of stars from Star Fox Adventures. That tells you how much zoomed in I am. A dot is actually like 64 pixels, so it's zoomed way in. It's actually zoomed in at 16K. This is 16K resolution, which is like 64 times bigger than 4K or something like that. Anyway, 1080p. I'm not going to ruin it, but there's a surprising fact about the end of Star Fox Adventures that you should check out by watching this video. And it involves taking a very close look at Fox's R-Wing. Next, we have another Krystal cosplayer. This one was I also found out about this cosplayer, the Real Seal, by talking to Ayano Haramaki. Shauna, the Real Seal, has been playing a humanized Krystal at 2 different cosplay events in America this year, Friday, March 31st and July 1st, 2017, at the WonderCon and Anime Expo, respectively. She walked around for one day each as Krystal. She did other Nintendo and video game related cosplays at the conventions, but she did a Krystal cosplay for one day each at these conventions. And I talked to her. I finally got in contact with her and talked to her about how she made it, where she got the fabric, what things were made of, and stuff like that. So read the posts, and posted her favorite shots. These are her favorites among her shots. And she did some semi-professional photo shoots at the con with several cosplay photographers, but that's not by any means all of them. She actually has a bunch more photos that she's already posted, and she will continue to post more in the future. And she's already sent me a link with pretty much all of the photos she has, and I will be posting those in the Krystal Cosplay Flickr group in about a month. Once she's had a chance to post as many photos as she wants, then I'm going to post all of them to that group, and I'll make another post about that when we do that. So really well done. I really like that she actually went to the trouble of doing the makeup on her arms, and she actually does have the thigh tattoo as well. Yeah, you see the spiral there. So really good job, really good job. She's thinking about redoing the armor as well. Next, Nintendo surprised us yet again by releasing a Star Fox 2 manual, which is basically the digital equivalent of what one would get in an old 90s instruction booklet that you got for a Super NES game, with a Super NES game. They also showed off a Japanese interview with the developers, so the Japanese developers, and they showed off some rare Nintendo development documents, literally hand-drawn diagrams of how the levels would be laid out and the different attack structures and the game concept. They even showed some very high detail diagrams of the various Star Fox ships. We believe that these diagrams were going to eventually be used to show a toy maker how they might build a transforming R-Wing walker. So you can actually take these diagrams and figure out how to make a walker yourself if you wanted to make a 3D model that did this, or if you got a 3D printer or something and a lot of time on your hands, you could figure out how to make a physical toy R-Wing that can transform into a walker. Really cool stuff. They posted it all, and you can read it all. I haven't even had a chance to go through everything yet, but they talk about some of the lore of Star Fox and the story behind Star Fox 2. So check that out if you haven't. Oh, and also some high-resolution artwork of the various characters. Oh, and one more thing. We also found out during this post that the person who did the artwork, this comic book style for Star Fox 2, was actually one of the original artists who worked on Star Fox 2 way back in the day. They brought him back so he could make these characters again. So really cool with the nostalgia and everything. Next post, we have another Smash mod. Actually, it's the same one. This is the same mod that the Aggravator posted as an Adventures, excuse me, as an Adventures to an Adventures Krystal mod that was based on the Fox base model and animations. He eventually had to switch to the Assault model, and he also changed his name to Scaling. And he says that the model just is not meant to be stretched over Fox. You know, she's much too lanky for that. And he wants to work on this model some more and make it better, especially fix the fingers and the weird proportions in the legs and stuff like that. But unfortunately, he ran out of time. He's working at college, and he's just releasing it as version 1.0 so that he can finish it out and gives people something to download for now, and maybe he'll come back to it later. So we've got another Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U mod for Krystal. And let's see, I announced that I'd be doing this podcast that you're now watching or listening to tomorrow, and it's going to be my first time using OBS, the recording software that lets me project my screen and the camera at the same time. And hopefully, as I learn this a little better, we can do more things. We're hoping to do a video thing like this with myself and Volpine Mia, because he lives in town. We're going to do something on the launch night of Star Fox 2 with the Super NES Mini, assuming we can get one. Okay, I released some more information about Star Fox Adventures 2. NJ Fox sent out a series of videos wherein he showed off his the progress on his fan game. This is from Demo 4, which he has just released today. You can check the comments section for a link to the release. He showed off videos showing the gameplay, how it's progressed so far, the different staff upgrades, where you can fight the enemies, optional side quests, and just kind of like how the game exists so far. And he's already added a lot more stuff. Still very rough around the edges, but good work for just a single guy working on a game who's never made a game before. Really good progress. And lastly, we have the stream that you're hopefully now listening to or watching. The Krystal Archive podcast for episode number 39. Whew, that was a lot. 6 months, not 6 months, 9 months, almost 9 months of posts. This is made worse, of course, by the fact that I'm now on a nearly daily posting schedule. That's why we had to move quickly. I'm hoping to make this podcast a lot more regular, more once a month kind of thing. And that way we can talk about the news and upcoming stuff, which will actually have a possibility of coming out soon now that I'm posting once per day. So now that we're reaching the end, I'd like to open it up to the chat for questions. So I'm going to be looking over to my right, your left, for questions that I can answer or comments you'd like to make, things to talk about before we end the stream. The stream's been going on for a little over 2 hours, pretty long, but we'll just do a few questions, okay? So let's see what you got. I know there's a delay of like 30 seconds, so I'm going to just kind of scroll up and see what I find, all right? Oh, and if you do have a question, just to help me out, put like 5 question marks at the beginning of your comment and then what your comment is, and that way I can know the difference between conversation for you and what you're aiming for me. I'm getting some positive comments about Star Fox Adventures 2, and also about the fact that Nintendo will probably cease and desist it if it becomes too successful. People like OBS apparently, and what else? Okay, here's kind of not really a question, but Mazzy Blocks says that he doesn't know why people don't just use Gray Firefox's Krystal rig for their games. And I can tell you the answer to that. The answer to that is it is way too poly. It is a high poly model designed for like offline rendering and movies. It is not designed for games. You could take his rig, and some people have, I think, taken his rig and have begun to modify it to become a low poly rig, but they aren't done yet. But yeah, you can't just use that rig. And a lot of these people who are producing games and animations, they're not the people who are good at making the models. The people who are good at making the models are often not the people who are good at making animations. So people kind of have to pick and choose, are they going to be good at making a good model, or are they going to be good at making an animation? It's hard to find one person who can do both, Gray Firefox being one of the few exceptions. People are excited about Krystal for Smash. They want to see people translate the interviews. I agree. I want to see that too. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and see if people have questions. Okay, good. You're using the multi-question mark thing. Let's see what we got here. Okay, thanks Golden Fox. I appreciate it. Golden Fox says that I'm doing a good job and keep up the good work. So thanks for that. Okay. Champion Samuel asks if the NES Classic will be sent to Canada. I think so. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what their pre-order situation is up there. They have different stores up there, I'm sure. I'm not sure if it's just Europe or if they also have it in Canada, but there's a store that sells game, and the store name is called Game, and it's basically like the GameStop equivalent of Europe, and they think they might be in Canada, so you might check with them. Okay, let's see. Zandros Regoza asks, whatever happened to Fox MC? Excuse me. Fox MC. Hang on one second. Let me see. Let's do this. There we go. Since it's just me answering questions. Fox MC. Who is Fox MC? That is a good question. I don't know. I recognize the name. I recognize the name. And he was doing something. But what was he doing back then? Fox MC. Yes. Okay. I know who you're talking about now. Fox MC was a fan fiction writer. And he produced one of the more famous Star Fox related fan fictions. And last I checked, it was not finished. And he sent me a message. I actually asked him about this. Back in 2014, I asked him, like, where is he? Like, are you going to finish it? What's going on? And last I heard, he said that he's been MIA for a long time, but he still hears feedback about his stories. It's been so long that I haven't done anything with my stories. He's always kind of held out hope that he'd eventually come back to a journey apart and finish it. But it's looking more and more likely as time goes that he won't. More and more unlikely as time goes on. He'd planned perhaps of writing a summary of the events after the current stop point in the story, but he hasn't really thought that far out about it. So maybe in the future, but who knows? But that was back in 2014, so not much chance in the future. So he didn't die. He's still out there somewhere. I don't know what he's personally doing. I know that it's been about 2 years since I contacted him, so maybe now's the time that he could put out that summary, since he's probably not going to finish it. In which case, I'll try and contact him again and ask him about it, okay? I'll look into that. Let's see. Next thing. We need another chapter of A Journey Apart. Yes, that's what it was about. Volpine Media wants to take a crack at doing facial animation. Okay, Golden Fox asks, will I be posting more videos about Star Fox Assault in 4K, including the briefing mission differences? So I will definitely be posting all of the cutscenes from Star Fox Assault in 4K where I can. The pre-rendered cutscenes are not in 4K, or they're pre-rendered. They're literally a video, so there's no point in making them 4K. I'm going to scale them up, but don't expect them to be high quality. I'm probably going to upload them twice, one at 4K and one at their original resolution. So if you want them pixel for pixel perfect from what they were in the game, I'll do that. And I'm doing that by ripping the textures of the video, not just recording the video on my screen. So it's actually going to be as high a quality as you're going to get. As for the briefing differences, I'm already going to be posting both the English and the Japanese and the mixture videos for where they're different for all of the briefings. As a result, I don't think there's really a need to have one video where I'm showing the briefing differences, since you can literally see every difference by looking at those sets of 2 videos. However, I may make a summary video in which I talk about some of the other differences, such as the briefing differences, and also the differences that occur at the end of the game. There's a slight difference at the end of the game. There's also a slight difference at the very beginning of the game. In the English version of Star Fox Assault, Nintendo shows a warning about playing video games. It's like a standard warning that they put on a lot of games. The Japanese version does not have that. And the English version shows the Nintendo logo in red, whereas in the Japanese version it shows the Nintendo logo in blue. So I'll probably make a little video about those changes as well. Okay, Champion Samuel wants me to call him Samuel. So sorry, Samuel, I'll call you Samuel. Okay, Jamaki37 asks, how are you handling the enormous amounts of emails, mods, fan art, etc. currently on the site? I'm glad you ask. I have a method to my madness. What I've begun doing, well, what I started at first is I started noticing that I had a huge number of open tabs in my browser of stuff I needed to kind of research and post about. I also had a bunch of links sent to me by various people in the chats. So I took all of those and put them in one giant text file and started listing what they were. And so if it was a link to a video, I said, this is a video about whatever, an MMD, and who it was by and whatever. Just enough for me to remember what it was. And I made a whole list of that stuff and put it all in one file. Then when I'm trying to make a post every day, I look back at that file, assuming there's not some news from that day. Obviously, if it came out that day, some news from that day, I'll prioritize that day's news. But if it didn't come from that day, then I'll do something else. I'll go back and look at that list and find something that I think is appropriate. And that could be, did I post too many MMD videos before? Maybe I should post something else before posting another MMD. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time. That's when it's really good that I have a lot of videos to post, because I can post a video in excuse me, sorry, talking so much makes my throat hurt. Posting a video doesn't take any time at all. It takes like 15 minutes and I can put that together. And so having a cache of videos that I can post about without having to worry about going out and finding something, that's really good, because then if I don't find something that day, or I haven't had time to finish some research, I'll have that ready to go. And that's actually what that Fox's R-Wing video was about. I was working on the human cosplayer post, but I wasn't quite ready. I still had to get a couple more things ready to go. So I posted that instead while I was waiting. And just so you know, I already have 2 sets of Star Fox Assault videos already on YouTube ready to post. I'm just not going to make them public until I'm ready to. And I'm going to do one per week. So I'm getting ahead of the game, you see. That's 2 posts ready to go each week that I don't have to think about. And I also have recorded a 3rd video from Star Fox Assault that's not it's not a briefing, it's another video from in-game. And that is recorded. I just have to convert it to the final format that YouTube is going to use. But that will only take like an hour per video, and I can just set that up and have that running while I'm doing some other work. So I'm trying to get ahead of the game with the videos, and I'm also keeping a list of stuff, of content that I can post in a big file. Now, I'm actually finding that even that is not good enough. There's actually a better way to do that, and that is what I've started doing as of a couple of days ago, which is whenever I get a new piece of information, like NJ Fox's new videos from Star Fox Adventures 2, I go ahead and make the post on the Krystal archive and save it as a draft rather than keeping it separate. That way, I literally just have to push a button and make a post about it on Twitter and Gab, and I'm done. And that's what I did for his, actually. I had made a post about it the previous day. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make the posts ready to go in the site itself, which is obvious when you think about it. Make drafts, right? But I just had never done that before. I never really needed to save drafts. But this is a perfect use of it. So now I'm having like 2 or 3 posts of buffer plus 2 videos ready to go each week. You know, English and Japanese version. Actually 3 videos because it got the mixture. So I'm keeping that I'm keeping track of that just by trying to be faster. I'm trying to, as soon as I learn about something, rather than saying, oh, that's interesting, I'll think about posting that later, I try and immediately post about it right now, even if to the site, even though I may not actually make it public yet. I'm at least getting it there, so I'll have something. And who knows, maybe if I have so much Star Fox and Krystal news that I have just so much stuff in my drafts, maybe I'll move to 2 posts a day. That's doable if I've got enough content. Of course, this is not my full-time job, so I don't have all day to work on this. Right now, I'm spending a lot of my weekends on this, as you see here where I'm recording this podcast. So it's a lot of work right now, but I'm hoping to get so far ahead and so quick about doing this that I'll eventually be able to go through my 600 emails in my inbox, finally address all of that, make posts for those that I need to make posts for, start making videos that are not just podcasts, but actually content videos that I want to, like, for example, I have the Star Fox posable figures that they released last year that I want to do an unboxing for and kind of show in case you're interested in purchasing them yourself. I want to make a video about those so you can see those. Well, I'll have time to work on these larger projects now that I have these. I know that I have posts I can make every day. One thing that is tricky, though, is posting a new Krystal fan art per day. Obviously, there's enough Krystal fan art to stretch from here to the moon. The problem is thinking of something that Krystal would say in relation to that. And so many Krystal fan arts are just her standing against a blank backdrop because they're portraits. And that's fine for sometimes, but I like to have kind of a story or a phrase to go with the fan art. So one thing that could help me is if you would email me your favorite Krystal fan art that has not yet been posted on the Krystal Gab site, and that's gab.ai/Krystal. If it's never been posted there before, then go ahead and send it to me and tell me, you know, what that fan art means to you, and maybe I can incorporate that into one of my future posts. That would help a lot, actually, because that now takes a lot more time than posting news articles now that I've kind of gotten it streamlined. Oh, and one more thing. You might have noticed that I've been a lot quicker at finding Krystal-related content than I have before. Rather than posting about something that happened 2 days ago, rather than posting about something that happened a week ago or a month ago, I've started posting about stuff that happened 4 hours ago or yesterday. And the way I've been doing that is I've set up some watch filters on Google and YouTube and a few other places as well. And I check them every day. And as soon as I update them and I tell them to show me the latest. And so they're going to show me literally anything on the entire internet that's Krystal related, that's clean. I have some filters for that. That's clean. And I can take my pick. Look, that person posted a speed paint 2 minutes ago. Great, I can post about it tomorrow, you know. So I'm getting better about finding the data faster as well, not having to rely on people to tell me about it. So that's been my strategy, and I'm sure I'm going to learn more as I try and streamline this setup further. Maybe in the future I'll have a system where I can get you guys to help me out more directly. But for now, I'm doing fine on my own, getting new posts out every day. Okay, let's go to the next question, if there is any. Quite a lot scroll one. Mazzy Blux asks, I have to sneeze. I'm sorry. I have to sneeze. Bananas. Okay. Mazzy Blocks asks, when will you get a KA Discord server up? It'd be a great way to organize Krystal fans and play Smash or discuss fan projects. That is absolutely right. You're correct. I do want to make one of those. I have been looking into it. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I think I actually do have one. I actually have a Krystal Discord. I just haven't made it public yet. What I'm going to need is somebody who already knows how to administer a Discord channel. And I know there's some at Star Fox Online, and I can ask them, but I kind of need to know. I understand how to use Discord. What I don't understand is how to use Discord as an admin, someone who's managing other people and rooms and channels and whatnot. So I want, if you guys either know somebody who knows how to do this, or you personally have managed a Discord server with a bunch of people in it, let me know. We can talk, and then we can figure out like what to do. I'm not going to start it until I know what I'm doing, and preferably, if any of you would like to volunteer, some people who know how to manage people, because I am not going to have time to sit on Discord all day and manage people. It's got to be, if it's Discord, if it's going to be a chat room official for the Krystal Archive, it's got to be something that can be kid friendly. That's just the way it's got to be. It's got to be like the site. We can talk about any topics you want, but it's got to be within the bounds of what the Krystal Archive would allow, which is safe for all ages, no not safe for work kind of stuff. Okay, so as soon as I can get that figured out, and as soon as you guys can help me out with that, we'll try and get that going. I'd love to have a Discord server, and then maybe we can do game nights. Who knows? Let's see. Oh, sorry. I didn't recognize your name then. Your name is so different on YouTube. It's completely different. Okay, Wolf Knight 797 asks, what about fanfiction videos? Now, I'm not really sure what you're asking, but if I had to guess, are you asking, will I do like a fanfiction reading of Star Fox fanfiction? The answer is probably not, because I don't think I can talk that long. And I don't have a particularly great voice, I don't think. I certainly can't do voices. And personally, just between you and me, I don't actually like Star Fox fanfictions all that much. Not that I don't think that there could be good ones, but the ones I've seen, with some exceptions, the ones I've seen, I've not been terribly impressed with. I think that one you mentioned by Fox MC, I think I have read that one, and I think that one was good, but it's been so many years I can't remember. And I did remember reading, I think, one other really good Star Fox fan fiction, but it's been my observation that a lot of the Star Fox fan fictions are not that great. I mean, maybe they've gotten a lot better recently, because I haven't been reading them recently. And I'm going to reveal something here, you guys, okay? It's one of my deep, dark secrets, but one of my personal guilty pleasures is actually reading My Little Pony fan fictions. And I know some of you aren't bronies, so hear me out, okay? Something happened with the brony community where the quality of the show somehow had an impact on the quality of the fan works made. We're talking not just the artwork, but also the fan videos and the fan music, and also, yes, the fan fiction is, generally speaking, of a lot higher quality than the stuff that I've generally seen in the Star Fox fan fiction group. and any other fan fictions I've seen from other Nintendo properties in the past. Again, I haven't seen them recently, so maybe that's rather not just a My Little Pony thing. Maybe that's a thing to do with like the grand scheme of the entire internet of fan fictions has gotten better in the last 5 years. If that's the case, great. But I can count, on one hand, the Star Fox fan fictions that I really enjoyed, whereas it's going to take dozens of hands to count the number of My Little Pony fan fictions that I really, really enjoyed and thought were just excellently made. So if you guys can point out some fan fictions that are Star Fox related that are just really, really good, let me know. I'll give them a try. As long as they're clean and high quality, I'll definitely give them a try. And hey, if they're really good, I'll put them on the site in the fan fiction section. There haven't been any new Star Fox Krystal fan fictions in the fan fiction section for years, so I'd love to. As for readings, though, I mean, unless they're like really short or some like comedy, like comedy one chapter thing, I doubt I'll do videos about fan fiction. Probably not. It's just too long. It's too long. Okay. He also asks, Wolf Knight 797 asks, what about Star Fox Zero? I think you mean, am I going to do a video about Star Fox Zero? And the answer is probably yes. In spite of being such a huge Star Fox and Krystal fan, due to circumstances and time and problems with my hands, I actually have barely played Star Fox Zero. And so I think it would be a good thing to see the progression, wherein I play Star Fox Zero with basically no experience to show what it's like for a new player. And then a week later, after I practice a little bit, I play Star Fox Zero a little more, not the same levels, different levels each time. And you can see my progression. Hopefully I can get really good at the game. Oh, and another thing, I would like to, yes, make videos of the Star Fox Zero cutscenes, just like I've done for Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault. I mean, eventually I'd love to make cutscene videos for literally every game in the series, including Star Fox 64. I just, right now I'm focusing on the ones that have Krystal in them. And by the way, there's another thing we're going to do. Volpine Media and I think I mentioned this in the podcast, Volpine Media and I are going to try and get a Super NES Mini, and on launch night, he and I are going to play Star Fox, at least one level of Star Fox, and then Star Fox 2. And what's going to be interesting is that I have played the original Star Fox a grand total of 1 time. And I think I played the first level and I died. So I'm literally brand new to the original Star Fox. And I've also never played the Star Fox 2 ROM. So I have no experience with Star Fox 2. It is literally... And I've never really looked deeply into it. I mean, I know that there are other characters in Star Fox 2, but I've never looked deeply into like the game mechanics and how you play and how it's different from the original Star Fox. So as a result, I'm going to be a completely brand new character. On the other hand, Volpine Media has played both the original Star Fox and Star Fox 2 ROMs extensively. So he's going to be a great player. So I think it's going to be an interesting video when we contrast our two play styles. I'm going to probably die a lot, and he's probably going to just wipe the floor with me. There is no multiplayer, it looks like, in the Star Fox 2, although there was tentatively a multiplayer in Star Fox 2 ROMs. So we're not going to play multiplayer, but we're going to just kind of trade off between me playing Star Fox and then him playing Star Fox. It's going to be an interesting time, and that's going to be either right after the launch, like the day of the launch, or right after the launch. So more videos like that I hope to do. Okay. Zandros Ragoza asks another question, and he says, have you found any Krystal related merchandise available for purchase? Yes, actually, 2 days ago I found 2 new Krystal t-shirts available for sale. Actually, one of them's a little older, but I've seen it before. But the other one is brand new as far as I know. I have a huge list of Krystal related t-shirts and prints and merchandise to post about. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. Maybe once per day, maybe a group of them together, maybe all of the artists, maybe group it by artist. I don't know. But I have a group, I have a huge group of them to post about, yes. Okay, let's see. Uh, I'm not going to read your name, but another person asks if I had seen his bead sprites that he sent. If you sent it to me in an email, I've seen it. May not have been able to respond yet or post about it, but I've seen it. I also have a huge list of Krystal sprite art and Krystal bead sprite art to post about. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that either because there's just a huge number of them from various artists. But yeah, I do need to post about those. Okay. Okay, Free Fox Zoff. Free Fox Zoff, that's Fox backwards. Okay, I get it. He has a question about how hard is it to get a official Nintendo license to create licensed merchandise like T-shirts and stuff like that. If it's easy, he says he may or may not produce it. I don't know how hard it is. I know it's possible. I don't know how big of a company you have to be. It may be that it's easier if you as an artist go through another company and that company says, hey, Nintendo, we'd like to produce some works. I don't know what you have to do as far as getting it done. There's probably a fairly large fee involved, but it's probably only a one-time fee. And you license the products, and then you can make their products. As long as they fit certain guidelines, they should let you do whatever you want. So you can make Krystal T-shirts or Star Fox T-shirts or whatever, as long as you fit within certain guidelines. I really don't know much about that side of the industry. I know it's possible, though. But I'm not the person to ask about it, sorry. I'd love to see what you guys can do fan-wise, making fan content. So yeah, if you do manage to figure it out, let me know. I'd love to know more about it and see about new products. Okay. Okay, let's see. Wow. Sorry, the chat jumped and I lost my place. Somebody says that kid friendly and Krystal go together about as well as ketchup and ice cream. I don't know. You know, you could put ketchup on your ice cream. I mean, I've been doing it for 11 years. Okay, all right, let's see if I can zoom down slowly. The guy who was talking about the merchandise, he gave me his link to his Tumblr, so I'm going to look that up for later. And just, I'll look into that later. Yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, Star Fox ones for sure. Okay, the next thing, yeah, that's where the ketchup and ice cream. Whoop, too much. My Little Pony for the win, absolutely. Yes, I did know that Nintendo is making a theme park, yes. I'm hoping they have a Star Fox ride with an R-Wing, that'd be great. Or maybe they'll have a tank game with the Landmaster. Are Star Fox fan writers that bad? No, that is not the correct way to look at it. Star Fox fan writers are not that bad. They are just as bad as most fan fiction writers are. Did I say fan art? I meant fan fiction. They are just as bad. They're no better or worse. Okay, that's all I'm saying. The general state of video game fan fiction and possibly anime fan fiction, although I don't read that, was about the same as pretty low quality last time I looked at it. The MLP fan fiction is of much higher quality. I don't know if that's a general trend or not. Could be, could be. Okay. Yes, Orlando is getting a Nintendo theme park. Yes. I don't actually know if it's the Florida one though. It might be the California one. Let's see. Okay, new question. Let's see. Okay, somebody's Golden Fox is going to be sending me some good Star Fox fan fiction, so I look forward to it. Somebody said, let's see. I'm not going to pronounce your name again because it's different on YouTube, but he says that Zero is worth about 2 playthroughs and that's it. Interesting story. It's not posted yet, but I'm going to be posting a video about Star Fox Zero soon that has to do with the design decisions of the control scheme and the general nature of Platinum games. And it turns out that Star Fox Zero actually has a hidden mechanic that makes it a very interesting game if you're trying to go for a high score. There's a secret technique that involves shooting enemies after you've destroyed them to multiply your hit bonus. And so you can get ridiculously high scores, which was actually, it was designed that way by Platinum as kind of a deeper way of playing the game. So there actually is some hidden depth in the game. But I think it'll take more than 2 playthroughs to kind of get to the level where you can take advantage of it. More about that video when I post about it in a couple of days. Grouping by artist seems like a good way to tackle it. Yeah. Are you familiar with the Krystal content on Redbubble? Yes, that's some of the huge numbers of Krystal related content that you can purchase. There are some other sites as well that I found. I think Redbubble has the most though. It is a lot. Okay, it looks like I've reached the end of the chat, so unless there is anything else, I'd like to see what they have, what they want to hear from, or if we want to just end it. It's been 2 hours and 47 minutes now. Goodness gracious. I'm going to just check one more time. This video is going to go up as a stream on YouTube, so you can go back and watch it at any time. And then I'm going to later convert it to an audio podcast for those who just want to listen to it on the go. You know, in all the confusion about the startup with OBS and all that, I don't think I said, but I'm Mr. Krystal, the head of the Krystal Archive, and I want to welcome you to the Krystal Archive podcast, episode number 39. Yeah, I did say that part. Okay, somebody asks, any news about music-related stuff? I don't know what that means. What do you mean, music-related stuff? Oh, I know what you mean. You mean, okay, yeah, he and several other people sent me some fan music in email. That's one of the 600 emails I have to go through and sort and find a way to post about. Yes, I will be posting more Krystal fan music in the future. Yes, I have some. I just have to go through my email. That's another thing. When I get ahead of myself and I have like lots of posts ready to go, so I can post once a day, I can finally start like addressing the 600 emails in my inbox. Excuse me. Yeah, thanks for the podcast. Good. Keep up the good work. Yes, so they're talking about there's a new Krystal comic. I'll check that out. Thank you. I'll look into that. I might have posted about it before, but I know that they're posting some new chapters. Yes, I know very well about DeviantArt. I get most of my Krystal art from there. I've been on DeviantArt since 2007 when I started the Krystal Archive. Yeah, I know about that. That's where I get the Krystal art from. I actually have one of my own Krystal fan fictions, by the way, which is unfinished. It's been unfinished about as long as the FC Fox or MC Fox's fan fiction. But unlike him, I actually do know how the story ends. I just haven't written it yet, and I haven't written a chapter in like 4 years, 5 years, because life changed and I got busy. I do plan to finish it though. And maybe it'll be that much better now that I've actually read a lot more stories and I can type better. But yes, I do know how that story is going to end and what I'm going to do with it. I might go back and change some of the chapters because I've written myself into some holes, some plot holes that I need to fix. But yeah, I tried to make a fan fiction that was not as terrible as the ones I had been reading. And people who read it, from the comments they left, they seem to agree that it's a really good fan fiction. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. They really did think it was good. So hopefully I can finish that. That'll be a good Krystal fan fiction. Let's see. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much all the time we have for questions. It's been almost a 3-hour podcast, and I tried to make it go really quickly. I appreciate you guys listening and watching and sending me questions and comments. I am going to make a copy of the chat here in a moment so that hopefully if you asked a question or made a comment that warrants further discussion in the past, I can go back through and look at those. Anyway, I thank you all for coming. This has been the Krystal Archive Podcast, episode number 39. I'm losing my voice. I've been Mr. Krystal. I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you next time, hopefully not that long. Stay safe out there when you're trying to get your Super NES Mini. Classic, whatever. Anyway, later, guys. And now I just have to figure out how to close OBS. One moment. Oh, wait, I have a thing for this. Okay, I pushed a hotkey and should go to something else. I'm gonna wait and check on the stream. Let's see how it goes. 30 seconds. Is it working? I didn't check. It's not working. I did the wrong thing. Oh, my hotkeys aren't working. Well, whatever. My hotkeys are working now. So you should be seeing, when you hear this voice, you should be seeing the thanks for watching notice